Hey guys, welcome back to the Open Chest Anime Podcast with your host, the Anime Collector, and joining me, my favorite co-host, RHYS.
Favorite co-host.
Last podcast was so funny. That was the most fun I've had on the podcast ever. And I jokingly said, because of how inappropriate it got, that I wouldn't even appeal the demonetization. We got demonetized. I appealed it. And by manual review, we had monetization reinstated. So that was fun. As if that podcast wasn't funny enough, just that happening the next day. Oh, my heart almost stopped how much I was laughing. So this is going to be kind of an interesting podcast. I have a couple things I want to go over real quick. So I want to talk about the Vic stuff. Let me correct something I said in the last podcast. So in the last podcast, I had talked about the fees getting filed, right? For the thing about TCPA is that it is designed is that it is designed to prevent expensive lawsuits or legal counsel for people who can't afford it. Right. The entire purpose of it is, I'm getting sued by Tom Cruise because I claimed he was a midget or something like that. And I can't afford to go up against his legal team because he's a multimillionaire or whatever. Right. Or however much money he has. Right. That's the purpose of TCPA, is that I'll get buried in legal fees. So I need my legal fees paid for by the person who sued me to silence my free speech when there was no malice or blah, 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 blah. They're a public figure, yada, yada. Right. So I had said that we learned that Monica Rial and Ron Toye had potentially lied under oath. And you guys got to understand that I, again, have been extremely busy. It's kind of a miracle that we have today to do the podcast, because apparently I'm not allowed to take 20 work days in a row at work. So that's why we have today off to do this. And also FDM's not joining us because apparently I didn't communicate with him enough and he swapped his Tuesday shift with somebody else. So that's why it's just Reese and I again today, but that's cool. Worked out great last podcast. So anyway, but the thing is that again, so I'm a little bit unable to stay in tune to everything that's going on as much as I used to be able to before I was working crazy hours. For example, literally yesterday I got to work at 4:45 in the morning and I left work at 7:45 at night. And that's going to basically be my new life for the next 19 days starting tomorrow, which is why the podcast is going to be going on a hiatus. But the thing is that my wife, for some reason, Raketa's voice really helps my daughter sleep. So my wife oftentimes will put on a stream at around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night before Raketa even starts streaming our time. She'll put on an old one and it just sort of helps my daughter to like get into the zone of being asleep. So I don't know, but my wife just happened to put on the one where Nick Raketa had talked about that thing, and I was able to rehear and go like, oh shoot, I should have mentioned this. That information regarding the deposition, which again, the thing about Monica Rial and Ron Toye potentially lying under oath or perjuring themselves was that they claimed they didn't get any deposition training or whatever, but Lemoyne billed for it, right? So one of them is lying, right? But the thing is that according to Nick Raketa, that information was actually something that happened through Kiwi Farms. Somebody on Kiwi Farms had somehow, I don't remember the exact details, but gotten a unredacted portion of it. I don't know how they did it. There's something to do with an error made in the redaction that allowed them to undo it, which I would say is like, this is a totally weird thing to jump into. But if you downloaded Barack Obama's birth certificate off of whitehouse.gov, you could take it into Illustrator and release the clipping mask and actually like disengage certain layers. Weird stuff like that, where it's like, I'm not saying it was forged, But it's really weird that there are multiple layers that I can hide in this document, right? So I think something similar happened with the redaction, where maybe perhaps the redaction hadn't been fully flattened or something, to the point where somebody was able to potentially access what was behind it, right? So I just want to clarify that that information isn't rock solid. We don't know that that's what it said. We are speculating based on what somebody on Kiwi Farms was able to potentially uncover. What's up?
Nothing. They're distracted.
What? They're distracted. Okay. My other co-host. Oh, really? FDM has the big gay. That's a good, that should be a shirt. My wife feels really uncomfortable all of a sudden being on camera. Hey. So anyway, so yeah, I just want to clarify that information here. Do you want to?
I'm like, I can't hear anything.
That information regarding that might actually not be accurate. So I just want to correct that. Now, the thing about this is that the information regarding the fees, let me give you some more.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just short.
The information regarding the fees, like Judge Chupp had to rule on it, and he did. So officially, Vic owes $50,000 to each of the defendants for their legal fees, right? So $50,000 to Rontoye, $50,000 to Monica Rial, $50,000 to Funimation, and $48,000 and some odd change to Jamie Markey, because that's what her legal team billed for, right? So it's actually under the $50,000 threshold. Now, again, as I said, the purpose of TCPA is to prevent the expensive legal battle, right? To completely prevent somebody from getting dragged into a $100,000, $200,000, $1 million lawsuit, right? But Lemoyne had the bright idea of racking up that bill and claiming that they needed to be compensated $250,000, and they didn't get compensated that, right? So they only got the $50,000.
Sorry.
You try and check the chat. It's right here.
Yeah.
So
it's easier to read here. I can't with my glasses or not here.
Okay. So anyway, so they owe that, and then I believe the sanctions, were they $15,000 or $5,000? Do you remember?
I was asleep.
Okay. So the sanctions were a little bit on top of that. Now, but the thing is that, again, you gotta Batagasa says she's out of my league, referring to you. Literally, Julie met one of my coworkers yesterday during lunchtime or whatever. And then, that wasn't yesterday, it was the day before.
Yeah, day before.
But I come back from lunch, and this female coworker comes up hard on the arm and says, "She is too beautiful. How do you land a girl like that?" Right?
Get her when she's 16.
This coworker's from Hungary. So anyway, she had an accent. I was trying to do it, but I'm not very good at it. Anyway, so that's the news regarding the sanctions and legal fees. So interestingly, going forward, now there's two things that need to be taken into consideration here. Number one, Vic doesn't have to pay a dime of that until after appeals go through, if appeals fail, right? If appeals go through and they overturn the ruling on the TCPA motion, then Vic doesn't owe them that money at all, right? Number two, and this is the juicy bit, if Lemoyne actually billed for like $250,000, like $250,000, and they only get $50,000 back, then there's going to be a lot of animosity between Lemoyne, Monica Rial, and Rontoye. Actually, technically, they're getting $100,000 back because Monica Rial and Rontoye both got $50,000 awarded to their legal fees, right? So there's $100,000 going to them. But if he billed for $250,000, that's still $150,000 that isn't being paid and probably can't be paid by Monica Rial and Rontoye. And the thing is, again, they are the clients least likely to make it scot-free out of appeals, right? Because they have like the Kamea context and everything. So the bottom line is that I think that they're going to settle. I actually think Funimation is probably on the fence of settling already. They're just sort of waiting right now because they had to like see if they're going to get damages and sanctions and stuff. But when appeals go through, pretty much the second they go through, if the appellate court rules that Vic was wrongfully that Chup wrongfully ruled on the TCPA motion, then it's going to revert back, and I bet you Funimation would appeal. They seem like they were already on the fence about it, as I talked to you guys about before, where apparently that affidavit, they were saying that we didn't say that he was a sexual predator, and if we did, it would have been defamation and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, that's the updates regarding the Vic case. And let me jump in real quick. I just updated my OS, and I'm getting all these notifications when I try to do stuff now. They're like, wait, Brave wants to screen record. Okay. Oh, I have lost permission? Ay. Hold on, guys. It's the funny thing is it thinks that I'm using Chrome because Brave is like a clone of the Chrome browser. Oh, dear God. No, that's not what I need. System preferences.
I think it probably should have come in here when you were doing articles.
Right. Okay, here I got it. I got it. Oh. I have to quit Brave and then relaunch it in order for this to take effect. So RHYS, I might disappear for a second.
Brave is gay. Use Firefox.
I'll be right back. Hold on. I'm going to just pop this in here so that it's part of the same window. Why am I hearing it now?
I don't know.
There we go. Okay. That was weird. Okay. Also, did you hear that too?
That's me.
Oh, no. Okay. So the description's still in there. That's good. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the button to quit. Sorry, guys. Quit now.
I don't really have anything to say to you guys.
All right, I'm back. Okay. All right, so jumping into it, let me see if I can screen share application window. Oh, wait, I need to pull it into another window now. There we go. Got it. All right, so first things first.
I will be right back.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
So if you guys want to support the podcast, you can do so through the OCA Podcast Patreon. You can support the channel through the Anime Collector Patreon, which I'm not even going to bother to wait for it to load. Oh, there it goes. That would be much appreciated. And regarding Stealth Weeb, sorry, I got a notification here. I still don't have any new stuff on here. I have stuff planned. In fact, I found some stuff that I thought I couldn't do because of an old guide on the site I'm using telling me that, oh, sorry, this isn't something we support, that they now do support and never updated their old documentation. So you might notice that I am currently wearing, oh, you want the stool? Go for it.
Yeah, sure.
That I am currently wearing that shirt from My Hero Academia. So if you guys want it, they come out looking pretty good. You know, I'm pretty pleased with it. So anyway, but getting into the actual news here, got a couple things. So regarding the KyoAni arson, do you need me to get you like a...
I need like a baby seat.
A baby seat. So KyoAni Studio 1, the one that was attacked, is going to be demolished starting on November 25th, which was yesterday. The preparation work, including building scaffolding and emptying out the building, will take until the end of the year, meaning like December. The actual demolition will then start in early January and will go forward into late April. And we got some news here regarding voice actor Tadashi Nakamura. RHYS, you shared this.
Yeah, I did. I thought any kind of death would that would be
notable.
newsworthy.
Do you know him from anything off the top of your head? Okay.
Not really.
So this guy died. I'm sure that he was in something that I probably watched in English. So
yeah.
So may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
voice actor Chris Ayres receives lung transplant and is in recovery. So you also shared this.
I did.
I have an article here that has some quote here for him. Well, first of all, he said, I have a lot of recovering and rehab left to do before I can leave, so I'm not sure how long I will be here. I think he meant on Twitter or whatever,
Yeah.
like on social media, not in life. And he said, that's normal, though. After all, they sliced me in half and swapped out some of my biggest organs.
Yeah.
He went on to say later, every breath, because he had chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, right? Some nobody says, we live in cool times. You need a lung? We'll give you a mother effing lung. How cool is that? Yeah, he was actually on the waiting list for over 2 years, though. So, I mean, I guess he could have had an iron lung for a while, right?
Yeah.
So he said, every breath slowly is becoming easier every single day. I am moving closer to Dallas, which seems very weird. A way to phrase it. I think he means like going back to work in Dallas, right? But it just sounds like he's walking there from like another state. Yeah, every single day I'm a little closer to Dallas, right? So to starting my new life with Crystal and Atticus, to acting, to directing again, maybe even dancing, to who knows what. I think he means like to this, to that, to dancing, and then to what else? Who knows? Not to when I first read it, I thought he meant maybe even dancing. To who knows what? Like maybe hip hop, maybe ballroom, like like type of dancing or music he's dancing to.
What's
Freeze break dancing in the
having a
end
new life
credits
with
scene.
Crystal and Atticus anyway? His lung.
Well, because he was gonna die.
Okay.
So let me continue reading. It says, I am grateful for my lungs and so incredibly grateful for the kind
Okay, I
soul
see.
who decided to become an organ donor. I hope somewhere he knows what a hero he is and how hard I will work to deserve this gift.
Well, somewhere means he's probably dead.
Yeah. So Otakuso, is your mom on a waiting list? Because you got that amazing Canadian, what do you call it? Healthcare. I'm sorry to hear it. Like I legitimately am.
Yeah.
And I hope that she can, have a success story similar to Chris Ayres here, but she might have to come to the States to do that. So if there's anything we can do, let us know. He had a GoFundMe from a couple of anime conventions that were put up. And in fact, he actually said that they've already used all the money from the GoFundMe in his hospital stay and everything. So they're actually reactivating it for whatever the next step is in recovery. Just so you guys know. Now, last podcast, we talked about Roger Avery, the screenwriter for Pulp Fiction, talking about the Konosuba movie as being, quote, the reason cinema was invented. So this got covered by Sora News 24, and there was a little bit of extra information here that I thought was interesting. Somebody asked, they said, which magical girl from the series was his personal favorite? And he replied, for me, it's Megumin, because she has the same birthday as his daughter Gaia, or Gala. That's a weird name. And people in Japan, or like how Sword News 24 always does like the Japanese netizens, what they had to say on Twitter. Really, the only one I thought was interesting was maybe one of his kids hijacked his account, because I thought that would have been like a really funny like explanation as to why this like world-renowned screenwriter liked this like Lolita anime movie, right? Okay, my wife is asking what Spider-Man has to do with it. Let me break it down for you. So Sora News 24 is a online like newspaper basically, and they only get money when you click on all their links. So they constantly have to wedge in other articles and crap, and that's all they're doing here.
Okay. I was really confused.
Yeah, they made
Right.
for some reason they made their own like Spider-Man short, and out of nowhere one day it got like 1 million views. And they still don't know why, so they've been like plugging it as often as possible.
Okay.
All right. So anyway,
Whatever works.
So they say it's an excellent Lolita anime, but is it okay to show overseas? I think if they take out the erotic elements, it could be really popular in other countries, like they did with Sailor Moon. I said, really? There's an American version? It's like we ended up in a parallel dimension. Too bad he's wrong. Aqua is the best, right? Of course he likes it. It's great. All right, let's get a Hollywood version going then.
No.
Sounds like his daughter took him to see it, and he ended up liking it too. That's actually probably a really likely scenario, actually. Anyway, so continuing into Kickstarter / crowdfunding news. So there is I found this game on another site. I think it was on One Angry Gamer, maybe Sankaku Complex, but I couldn't show you that article because of the fellatio featured in it. So I'm just pointing out that this game is being made.
What?
It's a erotic game.
Okay.
I
got that.
About cosplayers. Yeah, so it goes a little bit further than this. Anyway,
because no girl holds their boobs up like that girl with the t-shirt.
This one?
Yeah, like all of her shots have her like with one arm under her boobs.
Maybe she's just well endowed and like kind of
oh, my back hurts.
No. It's like where, you know, like when you're
problem.
uncomfortable and you grab yourself as like a personal embrace, like she's holding one arm and then down here she's holding both arms. It's kind of like when you're uncomfortable, you kind of do that. I'm sort of doing that right now, weirdly.
Are you holding your boobs up?
Anyway, so yeah, this is a thing if you guys want to check it out.
I've never done that.
Not as well endowed as me, I guess.
Yeah, I guess not.
So also new Planetarian anime is getting crowdfunded, but this one's being crowdfunded through Campfire. Do you know anything about Planetarian, Reese?
Was this the one that was the oh Christ. No, it's not the one I'm thinking of.
So it has something to do with this snow globe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some nobody said, referring to first of all, I'm glad to hear, Otagaso, that your mom's not having severe symptoms for COPD at the moment, at least, and I pray for her continued long health, life, good health. All right. And some nobody said, don't let that man see Kimi no Nawa. His heart can't take it. If Konosuba got him, anything Shinkai will straight kill him. So the thing we speculated on last podcast was the idea that that what he was talking about in terms of the experience was the experience of seeing it with the crowd, right? That potentially it was all the people laughing and having a good time in the convention, in the theater, that is what got him so touched by the experience, right? You know, the reaction from the crowds being so into it as any weeb or whatever it is.
Everyone in that theater was a fan and it would enjoy that movie instead of like
exactly. It's not the kind of movie that you just come out on Friday night and go to the movies and see the movie posters and say, oh, let's go see that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go remember.
Okay. Right, my wife is going to go remind my mother-in-law that my son needs to be picked up in 20 minutes. All right, and then we've also got here World End Economica, which is currently, I mean, there's still like almost 40 days left. Why did my thing not load? You update one OS. Fuck. My trajectory thing disappeared on the, I must have gotten like deactivated somehow. Anyway, so wait, is it like hidden? What is this button? Manage my pledge. No, it's not. All right. Well, anyway, it's still not quite there, but it's got quite a few days. So hopefully it'll get there. We talked about this last podcast. It's from the creators of Spice and Wolf.
Yep.
Which my friend Andrew calls it Spice and Yif. And follow stock market and everything. Could be interesting. And I believe, as we discussed, if you get the DVD, it comes with the promotional video. So I don't know how that's going to be. You get like a 7-minute video on a DVD, but should be good. Hopefully it's in an actual case, which I think it is, rather like as opposed to a sleeve. I mean, so let's see. I think because the picture here kind of looks like it's simulating a case that they don't quite know what the cover is going to look like yet. You know. Otaku says kill Andrew. The Andrew I'm talking about is the one in the History of the Anime Collector segment, the one who got ferociously groped by the Man Scouts. So he's already dead inside. Don't worry about him. All right. Also, Imp's story has 35 hours left. Once again, just real quick, this is from Cody Beyer, the owner of Anime Outsiders. And this is a flexible goal, meaning he's getting this money no matter what. And the entire cost of what he's earning here is going to the print production of a story that has already been completed, is already ready to go. And it's all about this like limited collector's item that is going to be available. So if you guys are interested in supporting him, you guys can do that. Now.
I need to have this door open.
Okay.
Because my mom's leaving and the girls will be
All right.
watching too.
Right, of course. As long as I don't scream obscenities, we're okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is probably the best possible article to jump into after saying that I can't scream obscenities.
Oh. Oh, why?
SunnyCon Expo bans ahegao clothing. For any of you who don't know, ahegao is the term design, or the term the term they made up to denote the face, this particular face with like the eyes wide open, the mouth wide open, and usually like sweat,
Drooling and blushing
and stuff. Right.
tongue sticking out.
It's like the Super Saiyan version of the O face, right? So one angry gamer says, they came for your comics, they took over your games, they sundered your communities, sullied your movies, and now they've come for your anime conventions. That's right, censorship is about to spread throughout the con scene like tentacles in an all-girl boarding school in a pink pineapple flick. They seem like they really know what they're talking about there. The SunnyCon Anime Expo organizers recently tweeted out on November 18th, 2019, that they are banning all ahegao clothing from the event. That means no more showing off your favorite hentai face on any article of clothing. All right. You getting a call?
No,
just
just a text.
Oh, okay. Okay, so here's the tweet, which has like a little, why is that? That's weird. Okay, it says, currently updating our cosplay etiquette rules for 2020, and we're not allowing ahegao clothing at our future events because we are an all-age convention. Rules will be uploaded this week as we update our site, but we thought we'd get this one out there so you have been informed. So before I continue reading, this is a bad idea. Because when you specifically ban ahegao, you're opening up straight up hentai shirts from being worn. You know what I mean? Like in protest, because that's how people are, right? In protest, if I can't wear my ahegao hoodie, I'm gonna wear my straight up uncensored whatever shirt I got in Taiwan that one day. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway,
personally,
some people,
it's just a face. It's not like it's showing the
right.
actual act in itself, or gender.
Right, they're actually remarkably
it's just
tame
a face. It's just a
in
face.
terms of explicit things. But the idea is, I feel like I can kind of understand where they're coming from, because the thing is that, so this is where it becomes tricky being a parent, right? Is that when you're a parent, it's your responsibility to monitor what your kids are into and what they are able to see and stuff. When you go to a public place like this, it's sort of out of your control. Stuff happens in public that you can't protect your kids from, and that's just life. But the reason why this is becoming an issue to the con is that, let's say that at SunnyCon Anime Expo, or whatever they're called, during 2020, a bunch of families come and they bring their kids, right? Because their kids want to go to this thing. And then they look around and they see like 40 guys throughout the course of being at the convention wearing the ahegao hoodie, right? Those families aren't coming back.
Yeah.
They're not paying for their kids to come back. We talked about this a little bit when when it came to the Vic story, when we sort of played devil's advocate regarding when we played devil's advocate regarding whether or not Vic actually did it, like all the way back when the first article came out from Anime News Network, that was a complete smear. I talked about how the thing is, yes, there haven't been any, again, this is playing devil's advocate. I said, yes, there haven't been any actual reportings of his, there's just been the online BS from anonymous avatars, right? There hasn't been any actual police reports or anything like that. And I said, but playing devil's advocate, try to understand that if you target young girls at an anime convention and, you know, they've just convinced their parents to let them go on, you know, out of town or whatever, go with their friends and go to an anime convention. If you then tell your parents that this voice actor molested me, right, then goodbye anime privileges, right? That's just the response that happens. And again, it's largely because a lot of the accusations, although they pretend, oh, he's this, you know, anti-Semite, racist, pedophile, all of them, right? All the above. But the actual claims are like, oh, he touched my hair, right? You know, and that kind of stuff. And they're all so ridiculously tame, you know. Now, Random 11 is saying most cons allow bikinis. And that's the thing is that ironically, because as RHYS pointed out, ahegao isn't sexual in nature. Like let me rephrase that. It's not explicit in nature. It is sexual in nature, right? It's not explicit in nature. So bikini on the hierarchy of what's sexual falls under ahegao because ahegao elicits a sexual response, right? It's meant to
some cosplays
stimulate, right? In that way. Yeah. Some cosplays, that character from the One Punch Man season 2 that's basically in leather fetish gear or whatever, right? Sexy no Jutsu for a while, where the girls were basically walking around conventions naked with like cotton balls glued to themselves, you know, that kind of stuff. That's been around forever. But the thing is that we've been going to Anime Expo since forever, right? Like the last 13, 14 years now.
Well, excluding last year for me.
For you, yeah. But you've noticed certainly that things have changed a lot from when we first started. Remember?
Yes.
Remember Manfei when we first started going?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And now he got banned, you know? It's changed a lot. So, once you got there, I'll wrap up this article.
Yeah.
You can join back in when you want. You've got the earbud, just so you know. So, okay. All right. Anyway, so the thing is that she can only hear you, RHYS, if she has the earbud and walks away. But yeah, you're right. They allow bikinis. Yep, girls' asses basically hanging out. See, the thing is though, girls aren't wearing the ahegao sweatshirts, and I know this is incredibly sexist, but they're enforcing this against the guys, right? Now I'm sure some girls own the ahegao sweatshirt. And I'm sure that a couple of them do wear them to conventions, but I'm saying that the reason they're banning them isn't because of girls, right? Yeah, no blushed faces with tongues hanging out, right? Yeah. So, I think that that's the major thing here. Now, that begs the question, if you're not allowed to wear your ahegao sweatshirt or clothing in general at an anime convention, where on earth can you wear it? Right?
Church.
I mean, if I had one, I'd wear it every time I left the house.
Are you cold? Because your weeaboo jacket is back there. You want to wear it?
Want me to represent? Okay. I'm already in a turtleneck on inside, so why not put a jacket on top?
Oh, it's got your Death to Obama shirt in it.
No.
So show them real quick. So
it's not Death to Obama.
It says no hope, right? So it's obviously based in the Obama change or whatever thing.
The Colossal Titan, guys.
Yeah, obviously. Julie wore this to Costco one day and got a lot of strange looks.
Oh yeah, everybody was like,
yeah, I think that they didn't quite get the reference and thought that it was like an anti-Obama, like
I never
skin
wore
him
it out
alive
again.
thing. Yeah, she's never worn it since.
I would wear it every day if that happened.
Well, now I will. Now that Trump is elected.
I gotta get my Trump shirt. Hold on.
I'd wear that every day. I went to go.
I don't know if you guys can see it. No, they can't. I'm too short.
Hold on. I'll help them.
I got a booster. I gotta stand up though. This says me weeaboo motherfucker.
It says weeaboo motherfucker on it. Yeah. Anyway,
That's
and then here's my Trump shirt that I wore to Anime Expo one year, even though Julie literally thought I was going to get killed. I think I'm wearing it
We were in LA, and there was like a game in the Staples Center that day.
Yeah.
And Brad's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wear this."
I think I wore that shirt in the 10-minute rant at the complaints department videos.
I think so. I think you changed out of it though halfway through the day.
Oh, yeah, I change my shirts a lot so that the thumbnails change. In
People getting
first-person
eaten.
videos.
Thanks so much. Thank
That's a good
you.
one.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah, so I was gonna get this. I was gonna get to this. That the face on the pantsu is a trap. So the creator of the Ahegao, of the original Ahegao hoodie, I believe exclusively used traps. That was it's like a big joke on all the guys who are buying it, is that they're all actually from like cross-dressing erotic mangas and stuff.
Wait, we can't shut the door because.
So anyway, Random 11 wants to know, are they going to ban people for making the face altogether? That would be freaking hilarious. You go to the con and they've banned it. So you just like everybody in the con in protest is just walking around with their tongue sticking out like Gene Simmons, you know, with like lots of blush.
They got a drool coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, but they can't ask about disabilities. So like you could just have a disability pass and be like, "This is my face." Like, what are you talking about?
All right. Pro tip, just so you guys know. The American Disabilities Act, they aren't allowed to ask you what your disability is. And for conventions that offer perks for having it, if you go to the booth to ask for an ADA pass or something like that, they can't not give you one. All right. It is going to destroy conventions in the coming years as people start to figure out that they can get free passes and whatnot, like of the more like premier or, you know, expensive variety. But until then, enjoy it. So anyway, why are you double typing? What's up, Reese?
I wish I had cons near me. I mean,
cons, yeah.
I'm just a walking disability.
Okay, so let me get back to this article. I'll finish reading it here. So some people attempting to push the tractor of censorship back by using logic. Sorry, some people attempted to push the tractor of censorship back by using logic, by campaigning for more freedom of expression, and by asking that if Ahegao attire is banned, then what about cosplayers? It's true. If Ahegao clothing attire featuring anime girls making orgasmic faces, hey man, check your sources there, is banned, then what about cosplayers? Well, the typical social justice types claimed that, and again, these are the words of One Angry Gamer. These aren't my specific phrasings here. But, well, the typical social justice types claimed that cosplay isn't porn. I mean, neither is the hoodie, right? If we're going to get super technical about it. And that's why it isn't banned. And I mean, remember in 2006 when we went to Anime Expo and that one booth was selling the school uniforms from Bible Black to all those girls who didn't know what it was from?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I remember.
Oh my god.
At that time, Bible Black was the ultimate troll, though. Like, you're like, "Oh, you like anime? Have you seen Bible Black?" And then they go look it up. Yeah.
I was like,
it was the Two Girls, One Cup of its time for anime. I mean, if we're being real, Night Shift Nurses is the Two Girls, One Cup of its time for anime. Anyway, someone else.
Thank God I didn't ever watch that one.
Someone else countered by saying that the nude beach cosplay was featured at some of the major cons and wasn't banned. What is nude beach cosplay?
naked cosplay. I don't know.
I mean,
Looking it up.
nobody has a great idea here. Someone should pay Belle Delphine to go and make the face and take pictures at the convention. You know what? I'm so sorry, nobody.
Kill a Kill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, look at. Oh, right. Yeah, the nude beach cosplay is the.
I've seen a girl in that.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of girls in that.
And a guy.
It's the cosplay of the girl with the pink hair wearing like not wearing a top, but instead wearing like a holster for guns or something that covers up the naughty bits, right? And like short shorts and stuff. She's basically nude, right? But she's and then there's that guy that I can't stand, Melon Pon or whatever his name is. Anyway, so I'm so sorry to you, some nobody, that StreamYard split your face into two lines there. It's supposed to be, well, anybody who's watching on YouTube can actually see that. So anyway, I'm not even bothered with it. All right, so no, it's Boku no. That's correct. That's the troll anime. Have you seen Boku no Pico? Yeah. See, what they did with Bible Black, and I've told this story before, is that back when you would get your fan subs through like LimeWire and file sharing stuff, they would name their file Naruto episode 17, but it would actually just be hentai.
Yeah.
Like Bible Black.
And then days that I use torrent all the time.
Did you ever have that happen through torrent?
Yeah.
I never had that
absolutely.
happen through torrent.
I downloaded Fushigi Yuki, I think. And it ended up being, that's how I knew what Bible Black was. Yeah, that was Bible Black.
Innocence lost.
Yeah, I was very young.
Yeah, Versus Seed says, I'm ready for the wholesome stream. Yes, it's our good Christian anime podcast.
I wish it was. So sorry.
Otakuso, I'm going to advise you not to. I've never even seen it. I just know what happens at the end.
All I know about it is somebody, I can't remember if it was Justin Savakis or something, was talking about it. I was like, yeah, poop porn kept the lights on for a while. It's like he was working on, that was one of the things that, I can't remember if it was Justin Savakis or somebody at ANN. It was like, you were working on night shift nurses. I was like, yeah, poop porn keeps the lights on for us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Keeps the lights on as in he was, yeah. So it was paying the bills. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I think Anime Works released it. Yeah. So it's probably Savakis who worked on it, because he also did Twisted Tales of Tokyo. Oh, no, he didn't do that. He got that like sent to him as a, I remember reading an old Answer Man where he talked about Twisted Tales of Tokyo, which is literally two other hentai put into one disc or something. Anyway, all right.
I just want to make this clear. I don't watch this. It's been trolled upon me. Okay. So that's how I know what Boku no Pico and Bible Black are. Please don't think I watched that crap.
I think everybody here hasn't seen Boku no Pico, but they know what it is. So I think you're in good company.
Okay. It's just terrifying.
All right, so I'm just catching up on chat real quick.
You're not my dad. You are. You are.
Yeah. All right. So where was I? So yeah, they talk about the nude beach cosplayer. Was featured at some of the major cons and wasn't banned, even though the cosplayer sporting the barely there items were walking around practically naked. Thus, the think of the children excuse holds no weight. So here they say, keep in mind that this was a cosplay from a major all ages con. I bet I could click on this and actually show you the thing that they're talking about. Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is the nude beach cosplay. I think this is at Anime Expo.
Dude, that was from Kill la Kill, isn't it?
Yes. This is actually, Joe. This is Anime Expo, right? Behind her. This is upstairs.
So.
I recognize the ground. Yeah, it's demonetized. That's definitely Anime Expo though. With the Anyway, yeah. So they said, keep in mind this was a cosplay from a major all ages con a few years ago. I don't like ahegao clothes, but I hate hypocrisy more. The stereotype that guys who wear them are neckbeard / incels are why people want them banned. It has nothing to do with the kids. I mean, I'll agree with that. That people don't want them banned for the usual suspects who demand the censorship and all that aren't actually people who have kids who worry about it. You know what I mean? They're not like the mom who wants them to get rid of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid or Maid Dragon, or however the hell I always screw that up. Yeah. Okay, nobody says, I'm in the cycle, not proud of it, but that's single life. Are you admitting to having witnessed all of Boku no Pico. Is that what you're doing here? Okay, so that's not to mention that a lot of people supporting the ban on Ahegao clothing attire have pronouns in their profile. This is typically indicative of a certain kind of person.
Okay.
All right.
I better go.
All right. Shut that baby. That's not our kid, actually. It's just, Julie, maybe you give me the jacket back before you go back out there.
They're only 2. They can't read.
Yeah, but isn't your mom coming back with our 6-year-old who can read in like 2 seconds?
Like in 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And if she's done whining, you can come back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess we're coming back. All right. So anyway, nope. For instance, one of the people cheering on censorship had a Twitter account filled with lewd material. Shame that Ahegao shirts are being banned at cons. I guess incels will have to wear something else to con now, like deodorant maybe. Ooh, sick burn there. The time has come. I finally opened an 18 plus OnlyFans. Been wanting to make more of this content and share it with you all. So now you can get access to all kinds of lewd content with varying characters monthly and more. Wow, it's too bad those incels are still feeling the burn. I probably shouldn't actually click on that, actually. Come to think of it. I mean, I can. I just got to double check that that's not going to be... Oh, dear God. Yeah, I can show this, but I'm really glad I didn't. Yeah, let me put it this way. It's not hentai, and it's not a lady. All right. Anyway, so also, a lot of y'all don't seem to grasp the difference between me having lewd content on my personal account and literally wearing porn out in public. Once again, I mean, if you had a collage of a bunch of male nipples, bear with me here, and 1 or 2 female nipples on the sweatshirt, right? Is that porn? Even if it was just all male nipples, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's the purpose of clothing like this, which again, I don't own an Ahegao sweatshirt. I have no interest in owning one or wearing one, right? I mean, given the right circumstances, I might wear one for a video if it was funny, but I don't have any interest in, it's not part of my normal wardrobe at a con, right? But the purpose of making that type of outfit or attire or whatever is specifically to push the boundaries, right? It's like when that one guy to protest, and I don't necessarily endorse or agree with this guy and everything else, but what he was doing, he was protesting the nipples not being allowed on Twitter or something. So he would post shirtless pics of himself with just his nipples replaced with a cutout of a female nipple, right? To dare them to say that it was sexual. And it's also that they can't prove, like, he might have actually just been photoshopping another picture of a guy's nipple onto himself, right? Yeah. And like daring them to ban him or whatever, so that he could then show where the actual nipple came from and prove, oh, it's not even a woman, or something to the,
or
to
just
that,
like,
you know what I mean?
Or just his own in different lighting or something.
Right. Well, exactly. And the purpose of this, once again, is to force people to acknowledge that the arbitrary rules don't actually make sense, right? They're not actually the bottom line is things aren't black and white. There is a gray area. Somebody, I forget who specifically said it, but they described porn as I can't say what it is, but you know it when you see it or something like that. You can't define it, but you know it when you see it. And I think that's a good, I think that Ahegao falls closely into that, right? When you look at it, you know that it's sexual, right? But you're not actually seeing any sexual organs or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway, a lot of arguments boil down to people determining whether or not the faces themselves constitute porn, since you can't actually see any genitalia. And once again, that's why you can't define what porn is. You know what I mean? Just the faces that the girls are making.
Now, sort of a countersuit or counter argument. The being the face Have you seen Food Wars?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but no, I haven't watched it yet.
The food, just somebody would take all the foodgasm faces,
Right. That's a good example.
and do the exact same thing. It's not sexual in nature whatsoever. It's just a foodgasm.
So if you compile those for me, I will make that happen in time for SunnyCon, and I will sell that as for people who want to protest the decision.
I'll pass on it.
Assuming, because it's SunnyCon 2020, right? So I would have plenty of time. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll totally do that. In fact, maybe we'll do Food Wars for a watch club, and I'll have time to do it.
Still, season 4 is just started. It's still ongoing. So
yeah, so I know there's a lot of it. I know, but I'm just saying, like, we could do it. It would be doable. All right, so more furries with pronouns in their profiles attempted to rationalize the cropping, saying that it doesn't matter if the images don't show porn. The simple fact that they come from porn is enough to warrant a ban, which boils down to, again, the idea of, are those nipples female? Right? Because if you can't prove the source of where they came from, like imagine the cute-gasm face that the girl makes in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Right. With the
you know what I mean?
Mouth.
If you were to take stuff like that from completely tame non-sexual anime and you were to put that on a shirt, eventually people would start claiming it's from porn, right? Or even better, I went to Germany with my family one time, and we brought my best friend at the time, and I stayed in a hotel with him. Yeah, when I was younger, and now granted, there was a lot of porn on television in Europe, but I put on the TV while he was in the bathroom, and I was literally watching a cartoon, which to him, he was convinced was porn because of like the yelling nature of the German language or something. And he came out legitimately thinking there was porn on and it's a cartoon, right? Imagine like Johnny Quest, kind of like where there's actual, it's not like Dora the Explorer style cartoon, but like there's actual action happening, people are fighting, and it just sounds like, for example, what Sabbath was accused by Colleen Klinkenbeard of doing, where he took the guttural noises and grunts and stuff for her fighting scenes in some anime when she first became a voice actor and worked at for Funimation at Okratron doing the voices, and he compiled it into something that made it sound like she was having sex. Right? Like, we make those noises because we're exerting force. As human beings, right? And so it all depends on where your mind is, and it blurs that line, right? So anyway, here's to that point about as they call them, furries with pronouns in their profiles. We're saying that just because it came from porn is warrant to ban it. Even though I could wear a shirt from Kite, there's tame shirts from Kite, right? I wonder if they would ask me to take that off at a SunnyCon or whatever. So as someone who found ahegao shirts amusing for a hot minute, here are some reasons why they should be banned from being sold or worn at all ages cons. Number 1, it's porn. I don't care how cropped it is. Could you imagine if people did this with live action porn? I'll make that shirt. Wow, it's the same shit. That would be hilarious. Again, the protest. You use the Food Wars one and you have actual porn actresses right before the money shot, do the exact same thing as it. So that's number 1. I don't know why it jumps to number 4 here, but it stopped being funny like 2 years ago. We get it. You're not, you are a pervert. At least be tasteful about it. Number 5, there's a good chance that 90% of that shit are characters who are minors, because that's how hentai be a good portion of the time. Yeah. So what? So, and maybe they're 900-year-old vampires. You don't know. Anyway, just remember that censorship always has small beginnings. It starts with ahegao hoodies and jorts. Jean shorts. Got it.
I mean, I don't know what those are.
That's probably what it is.
I'm a terrible woman. I don't know what jorts are.
And pretty soon, all Kill la Kill cosplays will be banned, and then all outfits and imagery attached to any franchise that has big titty anime girls will be off the table. It should go without saying that boner culture is truly under attack by censorious forces. Yeah, it's jean short. It looks like short. It looks like pants that were cut Why? Why is that $35? Hold on. Did you switch to
No,
okay? Why is it shopping? My wife looked up jorts. No, seriously, what is this? Why is there? Okay, no, it's a pair of shorts printed with that design. I thought it was legitimately a statue of David with.
Who was that girl with the leggings in the Vic case who had the Michelangelo?
Who? I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? It was
Dominique Sky?
no, it wasn't Dominique Sky.
LJ Montello?
No, it wasn't for Vic. It was for what's his co-host guy? What's the friend guy? The one who was telling everybody.
Chuck Huber.
No, gosh dang it! I'm so bad with names. What is his name? Remember that they didn't. Okay, just ignore me. I know who I'm talking about. I just have to look it up.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Give me a minute. Okay. So that's it for that article. Unless you want to say anything about it, Reese.
No, not really.
Okay.
I think we got it covered.
Remember the girl who was like Facebooking and saying that guy raped her at the con, but it was consensual, and it wasn't Vic, but it was the guy who does Star Trek with him.
You're talking about
Not Todd Habercorn.
Todd Habercorn?
Todd
Oh, you're
Habercorn.
talking about
Thank you.
Jesse Pridemore.
Jesse Pridemore. Yes,
Okay.
she wore full-on tights with the Michelangelo David penis thing going on.
There's a lot going on with that girl.
Yep. I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna send it to you.
You could just like show it to me real quick. You don't have to send it to me, so it's in my phone. All right. So
Just gonna look up Jesse Pridemore leggings. There, it's literally the only thing that pops up.
that's a girl?
That's Jesse Pridemore.
She was made to cosplay young Joseph Joestar.
Look up, if you guys Google Jesse Pridemore leggings, and it's the only thing that pops up on the very top.
Anyway, Hulu to stream first season of Gintama anime with English subtitles and English dub on December 1st. Anything more you want to add, Reese?
No, I mean that's first time for the dub for that one. So
Right. Which, if FDM were here, he would talk about how it seems like it's undubbable. Is your mom home?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, who is moving plates in our sink right now? If only our 2-year-olds are out there.
Well, the dog barks.
Okay. Original full CG anime obsolete. New trailer announces December 3rd premiere on YouTube. So I'm sharing this because when you play this, YouTube original series is what it says.
yeah,
Right. And the CGI has a look to it. Yeah, YouTube original has a look to it that I haven't seen it before. Right. It's got a very interesting look. Seems like it could be cool, like to check out at least. Very interesting art direction.
This is from Gen Urobuchi too, isn't it?
Oh, and also the opening theme song, Obsolete, written / produced by Skrillex and Nick Ruse.
Oh God.
I don't know about that. Anyway, you said it was by
Gen Urobuchi, I think.
Yeah, Urobuchi. Yes, you got it.
Versus first they take then they take our right to vote.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny.
And Versus Seed, like ages ago, guessed Jesse Brown.
Yeah, I was like, of course I should have looked at the comments.
Dog, I'm doing your dishes, motherfucker.
Gosh. Brad would actually like the dog if she did her dishes.
No, because you do it with her freaking tongue. Gross.
Yeah, she would.
Our dishwasher sucks, like the actual machine.
Yeah, so the dog actually does a better job.
No, but I'm saying like if our dishwasher can't even wash off like the little bits of stuff that shouldn't even be left behind, then why would I trust it with dog saliva all over it going in, you know? So Kotono Mitsuishi narrates Evangelion-ish trailer for Shinkalion film. So Ava Unit 1 as the Shinkalion crossover, and I believe Rei and Asuka and a bunch of other characters from Ava, including Shinji, are in this movie. It is titled Shinkalion the Movie X Evangelion, right? So this is, I think, the second or third time this has happened, like where they've done a marked the second collaboration between the Shinkalion and Evangelion franchises. But it was in the 33rd episode of the Shinkalion TV anime originally. So this is the first movie where they're together. But anyway, it's really bizarre, and it puts this weird like non-canon universe where all these characters exist that is going to feel really weird if they ever release it over here. So nobody's stopping you from saying a joke. Yeah. I'll wait till my wife gets back for that one. Gege Akutami's dark fantasy manga Jujutsu Kaisen to get TV anime. So I had for some strange reason, Yuji Itadori, despite his insane athleticism, would rather just hang out with the occult club. However, so his pronouns are her, his, rather than he, him, or anything like that. So her soon finds out that the occult is as real as it gets when his fellow club members are attacked. Meanwhile, the mysterious Megumi Fujiguro is tracking down a special grade cursed object, and his search leads him to Itadori. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see where this goes, like story-wise, like when this comes out, because this art style kind of feels reminiscent of some shows that have been quite popular in the past, and I just sort of wonder where that's going to go. So I wanted to bring it up to you guys. Also, the new Sorcerer
Orphan
is Sorcerer Stabber Orphan is got a TV trailer now, so they've added some new characters to it. Actually, this is one of the first series Julie and I watched together, so that's why I waited for her.
It was on demand
on the Anime Network.
On Anime Network,
which is not to be confused with Anime News Network. Anime Network was ADV's streaming service. ADV was ahead of the game back then.
Mm-hmm.
No, Anime Network back then was owned by ADV. Sentai didn't even exist yet.
I think ADV and Sentai are both under the same umbrella.
Yeah, Acer Holdings / Section 23 now, but back then it was ADV had the Anime Network. It was a thing.
I remember it being around when Sentai was around.
So the joke that RHYS wanted to send wasn't a verbal joke.
Wait, what?
It was an image. So, all right. Thank you for that, Otakaso. It was about the dishwasher.
Just beat your dishwasher.
All right. Anyway, so continuing here. Nisho Isin, school mystery novel series Bishonen to get anime adaptation. So from the creator of the Monogatari series, right, Nisho Isin from Bakemonogatari and all those, has made something called Bishonen Tokage Hikari Hen, which translates to Pretty Boy Detective Club. So this is getting an anime.
Oh my.
It'll be left to be seen if Shaft animates it. Darwin's Game anime will commence with an hour-long first episode. So that's, I was trying to watch Urusei Yatsura last year, maybe this year. And I was just trying to watch like an episode a day before I went to bed. And it was really hard. But I got to one episode and the ending theme, like they had like a voiceover telling the audience of like the next episode will be a 2-part like movie sequence with it's something weird like that, and then the next episode was normal and I had no idea what was going on. So I wonder how often it is that an anime does this kind of thing, because live action shows do it a lot in America, where like there will be an episode that's a 2-part but like as 1 part, hour long, basically, as I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, basically an hour long, but like
yeah.
I don't know. The only ones that come to mind for me were like the first episode of Fate Zero, like the Unlimited Blade Works TV series had like 3 of them in there.
Okay.
They're all long episodes.
I like how we have this giant Fate Grand Order ad as you're talking about it. It feels appropriate.
My boy Ryder over there in the corner.
Your boy Ryder. Let me guess.
So the bottom right.
This guy?
Red-haired. Yep.
Oh, Ryder Iskander. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to make that shirt that he's wearing and all the black shirt he wears and all the stuff, but I haven't got around to watching. He wears a black shirt with like a really complicated logo on it.
With white shirt with the.
Was it white?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Yeah, there's another character who wears that shirt too, I think. Anyway, so that time I got reincarnated as a slime anime gets 3 more original anime DVDs. So these are, what is OAD? Original
anime disc.
Okay, that's what I figured. So it's like an OVA.
It's basically the same. Yeah, OVA, OAD, OAV, they're all the same thing.
Okay. Anyway, so this is just a sort of a continuation of what we talked about before. I think there's a new OAD on it, right? The first new OAD that we talked about yet. 3
of them come with three volumes of manga.
Right. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That thing where like the Attack on Titan OVAs have half come out over here. What's up with that, guys?
I think, yeah.
So,
backing up to that, if Funimation gets those and dubs those as well, I mean, that'd be 5 OVA for slime. Yeah. That'd be 5 OVAs
that aren't yet available on disc over here.
If they do that, would they do like an OVA collection? Really?
It would be nice. It would be nice
awesome.
if they didn't, like it would be extremely nice if it would fit in the stupid part 2 art box that they that's clearly thought out.
That's gonna have a 100-page art book in it. So
yeah, well, I can toss that and stick another disc in there. I'm just kidding. All right, so Itai no wa Iya Nanode TV anime adaptation confirms January 2020 premiere. So Itai no wa Iya Nanode. Oh, it's even longer here. Bogyo Ryoku ni Kyokufuri Shitai to Omoimasu literally means I do not want a painful one, so I would like to heavily focus on defense, which the manga edition's official English title is All Points Are Divided to VIT because a painful one isn't liked, which arguably sounds way worse than the other title, right?
Just keep it Japanese.
like they did with Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah.
Right. So the story is set in the world of the virtual reality massively multiplayer online game called New World Online. I see what you did there. The protagonist, Maple, is a newbie when it comes to games, so she allocates all of her ability points into defensive power, VIT. As a result, Maple is ponderously slow. She can't use magic, and she can be kicked around even by rabbits, but she feels no pain and takes 0 damage. Because of her intense focus on VIT, Maple acquires the, quote, absolute defense skill and overcomes all obstacles with her, quote, lethal poison skill. So she goes on fun, stress-free adventures with her friends as a mobile fortress type rookie. So once again, isekai, do we consider like dot hack an isekai?
I think so.
Okay, so
I think that was like the progenitors, wasn't it?
I think Escaflowne was first. Before that, Inuyasha too. Fushigi Yugi is an isekai, right, Jeff?
I don't know.
Isn't there a character transported into the past or whatever in Fushigi Yugi?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think 12 Kingdoms.
Yes.
12 Kingdoms, I don't know if the novel, I don't know how old that novel is, but yeah, anyway. So the thing is that I've like isekai is getting kind of old, but it's really funny when you do them with like mundane stuff like games and stuff, like where there's that one about the guy who's overly cautious and it's like, I'll take 3 suits of armor, 1 to wear, 1 as a backup, and 1 in case I lose the backup, right? And like just like where you take these neurotic things that about people and you turn them into like character tropes or whatever. So I think this seems like it could be funny to watch because certain people like me, like when I used to play RPGs, I would stay in one area and grind until I could kill every enemy in that area in one
that was
hit.
So annoying when I tried to teach you how to play World of
Oh
Warcraft.
yeah, Julie tried to get me to play World of Warcraft,
Gosh, she
and
stayed in the beginner area for like 3 hours.
I didn't want to do any of the quests. I just wanted to kill stuff all day. That's totally different from what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, you're talking about like what, Disgaea? No.
Well, I did it in Disgaea too, yeah, with the item world where you could up the level difficulty, and then I could go back down to the lower level in like
Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Anyway, so nobody says quests are boring. All right, so I've got 3 articles here on this. The best one is this one, but I can't show you this one for reasons that I can't show you on YouTube. So infamous revenge manga Redo of Healer gets a TV anime adaptation. So actually this isn't it is a manga, but the manga is adapted and it's an adaptation of the light novel, right? So the reason, so first of all, I think they actually talk about it here. Oh, maybe it's on this one. I don't know. Anime News Network did an article on this. Remember when Anime News Network, or at least Zach Birchie on Twitter, like, what's that word when you're like holier than thou and you're decrying all the stuff, right? Like,
I think I know.
Being a Puritan, like he puritanically kind of like decried Shield Hero, Rising of the Shield Hero, right? And like, I don't know why people are so excited about this. Don't they know that it's about false, like blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So this is way worse, and Anime News Network didn't even go into detail, right? So apparently, now let me just say, this character here has probably the most punchable face of any anime protagonist in the last like 20 years at least, right? And the story is that this character is a healer in the RPG style party. And as a healer, you have to be part of a party because you can't quest on your own. Like that's just like the rules of the world kind of thing. And you legitimately can't do it because you can't beat anything, right? So anyway, the other characters. So this is the thing that they neglect to talk about in every article, except for the one on One Angry Gamer. The character's sperm is the source of his power. Yes, punchable face.
Is that him? Really?
Yeah. So, so all of the teammates rape him mercilessly in order for his healing ability to take effect, including the male characters. And he gets to a level where his healing ability like graduates into a level where he's able to heal the world. And in doing so, he turns back time something like 4 years, and he enacts his revenge on all of his rapists, male and female alike. So it's a rape revenge fantasy story. And it sounds terrible. And again, once again, this guy's face is so punchable. I kind of feel like I want the story to go in reverse, you know, where time goes back in time and he just gets raped by everybody. Right. But we'll have to wait and see how it goes. It might be wonderful. Oh, self-righteous. This is the word. That's exactly the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Oh, I had it up. Okay. I didn't even know I clicked on that. Okay. The world literally has level caps, and the sperm of the hero class people actually increases non-heroes level caps. Right. It's something to that effect. I'm just saying that that every article, Anime News Network, Nichiban, Sankaku Complex. Actually, I didn't actually read the Sankaku Complex one. I should have clarified that. They probably did mention stuff here. The reason I'm not showing this one is because they contain a lot of the manga depictions of him getting like beaten up and raped and everything. So they might have actually, but I'm just saying they go into excruciating detail here. Anyway, so some nobody says they rape you, rape them back. That's how it works. No, don't. It's a joke. Okay. Don't do that. It's okay. So how is that going to be an anime? So as I understand it, it's being worked on by the people who did High School DxD.
Oh boy.
So how's that an anime? Right. Now manga news. I got a couple things here. So we talked about this getting an anime adaptation not too long ago. Peter Grill in The Philosopher's Time. The manga has been licensed. So if you don't remember, this character gets he defeats it's actually right here. Upon winning a tournament and being crowned the world's strongest warrior, Peter Grill discovers a downside to his newfound fame. Women of all species, from ogres to elves, are scrambling over each other for his seed to ensure that they have the strongest babies possible. Poor Peter just wants to settle down with his lovey-dovey fiance, but he'll have to outmatch, outwit, and outrun a harem of very determined monster girls to do so.
Oh, poor him.
So I like to think that this character is named after Peter Payne from J-List. So also Volume 1 is going to be released on June 16th, 2020, and the manga will also be receiving an anime adaptation, which is what we've already covered about it.
I'll watch it.
So JT Master, going back to the reverse rape fantasy thing, says there are other parts of the story too, but yeah, it's both a revenge story and also him trying to rid the world of horrible rule of the kingdom they're in. Oh, look, another series where the main character bangs everybody. That's referring to the Peter Krill thing. I think the joke is that he doesn't bang anybody in that, like, because he just wants to be with his fiance or whatever. And they're all trying to bang him, right? And then somebody says, I would be hecking down with that. Yeah, and also Peter Quill, Guardians of the Galaxy reference there. Anyway, so Vertical licensed the Weathering With You manga adaptation. Now, this is interesting here. Okay. So there, well,
I'm going to head out here.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you back your headphone. I have to get ready.
Where are you going?
We're gonna have light bulb.
Okay.
Man, come.
Wow, why is it so warm?
I have lots of
did
hair.
I embarrass you a lot till your ears got all hot?
No, I have a woolly coat of hair.
So JT Master says there are Western pop culture references everywhere in the Peter Grill thing. Was it Bear Grylls? Is he? That would be fucking hilarious if they made the. Yeah, it is Grill. That'd be so funny if it's like him adapt, overcome. What is the meme? You know? Like it's just
improvise, adapt, overcome.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. If that's just like every episode is him, you know, like he turns and looks at the viewer and says, you know, something about like the type of fauna or whatever, and talks about surviving when the ogres are trying to take your seed. All right, so Vertical licenses Weathering With You manga adaptation. So as I understand it, this is so. I believe Your Name was a manga that Shinkai actually made, correct?
I think it was a novel first. It was a novel first,
so
then it had a manga adaptation.
Did
Similar
the
to this
manga?
one.
Okay,
To this one, he wrote a novel for. There's a novel version for this.
Okay, see, I thought that this was one of those things where they do, you know, when they do a novelization of a major motion picture. I thought that's what they were doing here.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was weird about this, that is unlike what happens in the West, is that this is Shinkai's basically it's his follow-up to Your Name, right? This would be like the Wachowski brothers make The Matrix. It's huge. Then they make V for Vendetta, and they give the novelization of V for Vendetta to an up-and-coming author, rather than like a established industry professional, right?
Or just have like Michael Moore, or not Michael Moore, Alan Moore just write the novelization himself.
So what's weird here is that, I don't want to call this weird. I think that more in like up and coming artists should be given opportunities like this, but it sounds as though It says up-and-coming artist Wataru Kubota adapted the work, and the comicalized spin on it is coming over courtesy of Vertical, right? So Vertical has licensed it. So anyway, the artist is sort of a newbie in the industry, and it's unusual for that kind of person to be given a property seen as profitable and whatnot as something like this. So anyway, that was a real roundabout way to just say that, but there you go.
One thing I also find weird about this, going back
he has
to
a gun.
Yeah, okay.
It's the same gun. It's the same gun from Children Who Chase Lost Voices.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Vertical license the manga, but Yen Press has the novel. Why did Yen Press get the manga as well? Because they have the Your Name novel and the manga. How did they? How did the manga rights slip through Yen Press's fingers and go to Vertical? That's what I'm kind of curious about.
I don't know. That's a really good question. It's a lot of weird stuff going surrounding this, considering again that they're using an up and coming artist. I wonder why. Just seems weird, but it's cool. I'm in favor of people being given that opportunity, because he clearly looks like he can doodle on paper. Doesn't look like he's a bad artist. Anyway, Demon Slayer manga overtakes Bleach and My Hero Academia volume sales in the same time period, and the series is also creeping up to Naruto level of sales. So they've got a chart here where we've got One Piece, which is off the charts. Naruto is off the charts. Bleach, the chart is sort of defined by Bleach, right? And then My Hero Academia, which is way lower than I thought it would be.
Right.
I'm
still surprised Bleach is on it, considering it stopped how many years ago?
Okay, well, here's the thing, though. It's about sales per volume that they're in, right? So number of sales for volume 1. By volume 3, by the release of volume 5, right? Okay. So that's why it's weird. But look at Demon Slayer, right here is where the anime series concluded, right? So it's like steady, very steady increase, and then bam, Yeah. And it's overtaken My Hero Academia, which I think personally that the entire first season of My Hero Academia is boring until like the last 2 or 3 episodes, and then it's like, oh, everything up to this point was laying down a base and it's really worth it. But I kind of feel like if I was sitting down and reading it rather than watching it, that I might not have finished it. I would have been like, this is lame.
Considering the first season is only like 2.5 volumes.
Okay, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's a really slow adaptation. I mean, like two chapters per episode, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they did a decent job with it, but like I said, it feels like it's not going anywhere. And the thing I felt about My Hero Academia is I felt like I was being manipulated with the audio cues. Like they play music that gets you kind of emotional, but you're like, but why? Why do I feel anything for these characters? They haven't done anything yet. You know what I mean? So anyway, also, I shared this literally so that I would have a way to look this up later if I needed it for this video. But it's a romantic comedy manga about a blind girl, a visually impaired girl. She's using a walking stick, so I just assume she's blind, right? She's literally called White Cane Girl or whatever, right? So it's a delinquent and a blind girl that like fall in love and stuff. The artwork is atrociously bad. And it's kind of funny how bad it is. Like the proportions look like terrible. What on earth is she sitting on? Kind of thing. Like, are you sitting on his, like the top of his stomach? It's just so weird. But the thing is that the reason I wanted to share it legitimately is just so that I could actually, the artwork on the covers looks a little bit better. It's a little weird, but was because I'm editing videos with manga, and this has it's a manga voice comic, right? So I needed to see how they did it. All right. So, oh wow, there's a lot of oh, that's terrible. JC Master says in Peter Grill, he literally bangs every girl that hits on him except his fiance.
It's like,
Hold on. Did you hear Interspecies Review is getting an anime? I don't know what that is.
Interspecies Reviewer. I think it's been talked about a couple times. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard about it.
So his fiance is completely oblivious to anything sexual. When did My Hero's anime come out in relation to the chart? I don't know that actually. I thought about that. How long was because you said that the first season was only like 2.5 volumes, right?
Yeah.
So how far could they have been? Because it must have started coming out right as it was like they must have started working on it right as they were making it, because otherwise they would have been able to drag out the series a bit longer for that first season, right?
Well, hang on. I guess it started in like what, 2015?
Okay, it says here.
Okay. The manga started in July of 2014, and the first season came out 2016. So almost 2 years after it started.
So My Hero Academia has a okay, so yes, Demon Slayer is way above it, Bleach is way above it, but I think that the thing about My Hero Academia, if we're just going to touch on this subject, is that My Hero Academia is getting better with each new season, and Bleach peaked pretty early. Maybe midway through it peaked, right? Like when the Bankais, they ran out of ideas for what's that meme from B-Dub the Anime Master? I want to see some fucking Bankais in this bitch, or whatever he said. Have you seen that?
No,
The anime, no, he says, I want to see some Bankais, god damn it, or something like that. The anime snob constantly interjects that into his videos. I love you, B-Dub. All right. A manga about 40-something man's relationship with daughter's schoolgirl friend sparks controversy. So, well, let me finish reading these chats here. Also, all those shows had confirmed season 2s. So you're saying Demon Slayer? Okay, so you're saying that Demon Slayer's... You're saying that it's even more impressive, or maybe you're saying that it's less impressive because since it doesn't have a confirmed season 2, that's why people are scrambling to get the manga because they want to continue it. Perhaps, I don't know. Verify what you're saying.
Yeah, $5 super chat.
Oh, thank you, some nobody. Something funny about this: Demon Slayer is supposedly over with the current arc, so let's see how long that lasts until the money is rolling in.
No, there's still a movie that comes out next year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What is the movie about? Did we talk about that?
It's the next arc in the manga.
Okay, so they're just going to do it in a movie form instead of in a.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the chart Otakuso is this one. So highly sophisticated. Anyway. Okay, so Random 11 says, yes, that's what I'm saying, but I still don't know specifically. Do you mean that it's more impressive or less impressive? I think you mean it's more impressive. Or maybe I should just keep reading what he said here. So for the other anime, most people probably just felt like waiting for the anime. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, exactly what I said. Okay. Was this referring to the when I said the artwork is garbage on that thing? So there have been let me clarify here. There have been a couple of manga that my wife has read that have goofy art style, but they're still good. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Oh, shoot, she doesn't have a headphone in it. Well, she couldn't hear me anyway. Julie, if you're watching, come in here and tell me the name of that one with the weird art. Yeah,
the art doesn't define the story.
Right. I'm just saying that the anatomy and stuff could be better. And you know what's cool though is that the longer a series goes on, the better the art gets.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. If you go back and watch Dragon Ball Z again, look at Goku in the last, like 3 episodes of it. how muscular and how defined he looks like he does in Super, go watch him on Snake Way. He looks like a Chubbers, you know? Like his body type is completely different. Like, let me put it this way. At the beginning of the series, he looks about as well built as maybe like Steven Seagal. And at the end of the series, he looks like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So anyway, and that's largely the artists getting better, drawing him over and over again. He gets more solid, more defined. All the characters do. Vegeta does. All of them get more defined, hard-edged, muscular, you know, more well-defined than just like the big barrel-chested look he used to have in the beginning. All right. Anyway, so a manga about 40-something man's relationship in daughter's schoolgirl friend sparks controversy. Man's relationship with daughter's schoolgirl friend sparks controversy. Did I say in daughter's school? That's awkward.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Was this the synopsis of a hentai manga or?
No. So I want to acknowledge. Remember we talked about the Yuna of the hot springs or whatever, where they had the tapioca nipples.
Yep.
Yeah, and we basically went on to say, well, hold up, look at freaking this. They're talking about like all the self-righteous Puritans are coming out talking about, oh, you can't put this on the cover of or whatever. That wasn't even on the cover, right? You can't put this in this magazine. It's like, hello,
To Love
Rue, you know. So think about as I read this, and there's some interesting stuff in here, just like in how stuff works in Japan. But think about those kind of things as I'm reading this. Also, look at this giant fucking sushi they made. They bought an entire Costco salmon. For scale, this is a normal sushi size.
It's like
Anyway.
a whole fish.
Yeah, literally, it's like the whole side of the salmon. So, major publisher's promotion of Musume no Tomodachi has some saying that the company is encouraging an illegal relationship with a minor. Also, the other reason I want to share this is Sora News 24. Some of this article sounds like it was written on Sankaku Complex, as we'll get to in a second. So most of the bullet points for the premise of publisher Kodansha's Musume no Tomodachi manga read like pretty typical anime/manga storytelling tropes. Hard-working but melancholy male protagonist Kosuke is sitting in a cafe one day when he spots some overly aggressive customers hitting on the new teenage waitress Koto. After Kosuke's quick and clever thinking saves her from the situation, Koto offers to thank him later, but he chivalrously declines. When the two unexpectedly bump into each other again in the hall at school, however, Koto asks him for his line messaging app contact, and when he agrees to tell her, they begin a relationship that ends up affecting Kosuke on a deep emotional level. So first of all, it's kind of weird to me when like if I was watching like a romance movie, I mean, I guess I could see this happening. And what was that movie with Mila Kunis? Do you remember that movie where she goes, "Screw you, Katherine Heigl," when she's talking about romance movies, rom-coms, lying about relationships or whatever? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I guess I could kind of see it in a movie like that. I was going to say that it'd be really weird to watch an anime style story of a relationship where they get together like, so what's your Snapchat? You know, like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me to have social media. It's weird whenever internet things make their way into non-internet things. You know what I mean? So anyway, but this isn't a school romance story because while Koto is a high school student and legally still a minor. Hold on, I think my wife just yelled for me.
Just your whole "what's your Snapchat" thing reminded me of, oh yeah, find me on Pornhub.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that was my son yelling and not my wife. All right, anyway. Yeah, no, that follow me on premium Snapchat. Yeah. But this isn't a school romance story because while Koto is a high school student and legally still a minor, Kosuke is a man in his 40s, old enough to be Koto's father. That's the point of taboo romance. As a matter of fact, Kosuke's daughter is one of Koto's classmates, hence the title Musume no Tomodachi, which translates to my daughter's friend. That's not actually what it translates to. As far as I know, Musume literally means young girl or like little girl, not my daughter. But it might be used, like Musume might be what fathers in Japan call their daughters. Like might be a phrase, a term of endearment, the way that for whatever reason, Chi-Chi is a word that kids use to refer to their parent, their father, even though weirdly we also figured out it also means tits for some reason. Totally weird, Japan. All right. So the promotional video for Musume no Tomodachi can be seen by clicking on the tweet here, which I never actually watched and won't right now, but right. So, oh yeah. So it's a manga, one of those manga videos where it's somewhat important that you just have a general idea of it because of what they talk about, how close their faces get, because they're kind of implying something in the comments. So anyway, Kodansha describes the series with Kosuke lived his life acting like an ideal man, as a father in the home and an executive in the office. But what about in the streets and in the sheets? Incel in the streets and in the sheets. But meeting his daughter's friend Koto causes a 180-degree change in his life. When he's with Koto, he can be his true self, and his worn-down heart is healed, even as he knows this is an emotion that must not be embraced. So that's important, that line. We'll get to that in a second. An emotion that must not be embraced, because Japan has a weird way of translating things. A present to people who suppress themselves in modern society. This is a middle-aged man meets girl story. So while it's nothing new for manga and anime to feature schoolgirls who are the focus of romantic or sexual yearning, it's less common for a mainstream publisher like Kodansha to squarely place a relationship between an adult man and a girl who's a legal child as the primary plot point of a series, especially one that's being promoted online by the official Twitter account for the company's morning manga anthology, which is a mainstream publication and not something marketed strictly to hardcore erotic manga otaku. First of all, I don't think that this is actually an erotic manga.
Right.
Like, romance stories don't have to be erotic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's even some suggestive wordplay in the series' official description, as the original Japanese for even as he knows this is an emotion that he must not embrace, that must not be embraced, daite wa ikenai kanjo dato shirinagara, can be translated as even as he knows that he should not have sex with her. That's quite the different translation there. And then it goes on to say, as the word daite, did I say date? It's daite. Daite can be used to mean hugs or intercourse. I don't know where you got, even as he knows this is an emotion that, embraced. Okay, that's what they mean by hugs. Okay, gotcha. All right, so the selected dialogue from the promotional video also points to a highly intimate relationship, featuring the lines including, "If I hadn't met you, I'd have had a proper boring life." Now, the context of this changes a little bit depending on who's delivering that line, right?
Don't you think? Boring life is like no sex engine for me.
No older man, strange. All right, so just for today, why don't you take a break from being dad and section chief and just try being Kosuke? Being honest with yourself isn't such a bad thing. Who gets to decide what's right and wrong anyway? Okay, so now it's starting to get a little racy there, right? Be honest with yourself. You want to bang that baby. Legal child. Again, with a little digging, you can find plenty of, quote, adult man sleeps with schoolgirl stories in the anime/manga/video Japanese video game sphere. But the key point there is with a little digging. Seeing Kodansha so openly trumpet Musume no Tomodachi has upset some Japanese Twitter users. And the promotional video's tweet thread has turned into a debate on the appropriateness of the content and the way it's being presented, with comments such as, "Keep this out of the open for sales and marketing. You shouldn't be advertising a manga where a middle-aged man tries to get with a teenage girl, which is a crime, in a way where people of any age can see it." I'm sorry, hold on. This is sexual exploitation of a minor, plain and simple. No, I'm sorry. This is sexual exploitation of a 2D drawing, plain and simple. Promoting the sexualization of a 2D underage girl is disgusting. Please keep this out of all ages media spheres. Doesn't matter how much you want middle-aged men to buy it or how much you want to draw a beautiful girl. Stop this. I'm going to be on my guard around any middle-aged guy who's reading morning. So first of all, I think you will be shocked. I don't think you guys will be shocked. I think you will be like, oh, that makes sense. I don't think middle-aged men are the primary readers of these stories. I think that the high school girls actually are. I'm just saying. Yep. I have reason to believe this. So, and on the other side of the discussion, especially because I don't think this is an erotic manga. I think it's just a romance, but on the other side of the discussion, quote, there seem to be a lot of people who don't understand that fiction is just that, fiction. Yeah. Quote, if you can't tell the difference between fiction and nonfiction, then yeah, you shouldn't read this. Burn. Isn't this the same plot as the American movie American Beauty? You know what? If the movie or if the manga ends with him getting murdered by his neighbor who thinks that his neighbor's son was sucking him off, I'll be okay with it. Right? For anybody who's seen American Beauty. There are a lot of fascists who say, quote, anything I don't like should be burned or confined to a ghetto. But please, Kodansha, don't pay them any mind and keep publishing this series. All right, so I'm gonna address some of the chat real quick because I'm seeing it's getting kind of. I don't recognize who's at the top of the chat, so it must be new. Okay. Here. I prefer the early Dragon Ball Z drawings. The keyframer was really good. I thought that's when he looked his best, was between Vegeta and Frieza. So one of the things about Dragon Ball Z is that they had like 3 keyframing artists or something like that during the anime, like the 3 keyframing animators, and one of them was really good. They saved him for key episodes like when Goku goes Super Saiyan, or the finishing battle of any given fight, like when they defeat Frieza, when they defeat Cell, all that stuff. When they introduce Trunks, the animation is freaking amazing, for example. Mm-hmm. And then they had an artist who was okay, who they used quite a bit. And then there was an artist who was terrible, who was not even able to really draw characters on model. And they usually used him when characters were far away and stuff like that. But sometimes you got a couple close-ups and the characters looked real derp. I find it kind of amazing that the SJW types claim to advocate for women but hate the female form, really backwards to their supposed values. See, this is the thing, is that the type of people who need to control what other people are allowed to like or do or be or whatever are extremely insecure about themselves, right? So you see that these, and they have to, in order to be quote unquote in the right, on the quote right side of history, they have to do all sorts of mental gymnastics in order to frame themselves as being a proponent of, let's say, the one they'll jump on a lot, feminism. Women are subjugated or whatever, advocate for women, all that kind of stuff. So they'll create the label and use it to push or suffocate, to push a view that is bordering on or outright over the edge of being like off their rocker, or they'll use it to suffocate people for whom usually made better choices than them in life, have fewer regrets, and are less you know, hold on, I gotta close that tab. So like I said, these are people who have a lot of self, shit, I looked at the stupid live action Attack on Titan posters and now I've lost my train of thought. People who are insecure, right? That's what I was saying. They're insecure about themselves. So they push for, you know, women having the right for all these things and that women, you know, should be able to go topless and all that stuff. But you'll notice that only grossly obese, ugly, you know, short hair, shaved on one side of the head, nose rings going all the way around the cheek and all.
Dyed in weird colors.
Tattoo on the face, even kind of like that's the only people who actually walk around topless when they get that right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then anybody who is attractive, classically speaking, is shunned for any, even just wearing a bikini top or a shirt that reveals a little bit of cleavage or something. They all get shamed for it, right? And it's because it's exactly what happened with Vic. Really, is that it's jealousy of the accomplishments, success, or lottery winnings, if you will, of another person. And Vic, you could say that the lottery winnings is that he's good looking. Now, I think Vic has had a lot of work done, right? But no matter how much work you have done in order to remain looking youthful, plastic surgery, you know, hair restoration or whatever, you have to start out looking good for that to even work. You know what I mean? Like, granted, you could probably get plastic surgery and go from having an ugly nose to a better looking nose or something like that. But you know what I mean? If you're trying to use plastic surgery or Botox or something to look younger, which I think it's pretty obvious that Vic has done, if you weren't attractive when you were younger, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? So I think that's a lot of what has happened in that regard, and I think that's what's happening here, as you're saying about being an advocate for women but hating the female form, right? And then also saying women can do anything, like women are better than men, or women can do anything men can do, but also there's no difference between men and women. You know, or my favorite thing, giving Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year when Caitlyn Jenner hadn't even been a woman for a full year, right?
Yeah.
And also never actually, as far as I understand, never actually got the surgery, right? So it's backwards, it's twisted, and it's just not. It's everything we just described, you know. So anyway, saying we were born prior to that being a thing. I'm not sure what you're referring to here. What we're talking about, but sorry about that. Making H mistyped. Where's the full thing? Was there another thing? Was there something above that, like from a long time ago?
I think it was about the making.
Just your pride, more or less.
I don't know, something like that.
I don't know. Anyway, if you got something I missed there, please let me know. Yeah, because women like older men. Dun. Well, okay. See, here's the thing about this. So what I'm saying about that is that, first of all, women have different. Try to think of the best word, Mike. Do I want to say fetishes, or do I want to say kinks, or what do I want to say? They have different turn-ons than men.
No, dad,
right? Well, not even that. It's about the because the thing is that from an evolutionary standpoint, women, their sexual market value is at its peak when they're young, right? And outside of what's legal, the thing is that when a woman starts menstruating and is able to have a baby, that is their peak age in terms of long-term investment. If you like, that's why in other cultures they get married at those age, like in Muslim countries and whatnot, because it is you can get so many kids out of somebody if you start when they're 13 and you have all the way until menopause or whatever, you know what I mean? Versus when women get over the childbearing age or the age where it starts to become dangerous or whatever. This is another super chat. Right on, man. Some of it is also being a revolutionary. Generally, disenfranchisement works to the advantage of ideologues who want to change political systems. And I missed so much of your other chats that I feel like I should address before I get even that one. I mean, isn't this also ageist? If she's mentally an adult, isn't the law wrong? Do these people not think for themselves? Also, she's 2D, but one of them was a boss that worked out of his house. What am I? Are there a bunch of chats like missing
I
in
think
the
this
thing?
was talking about the animator for Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay, that could be 100% correct. That's maybe referring to when I was talking about the different art stuff.
Yeah.
Cell phones /line. Maybe that was when I was talking about it's weird when internet things come into non-internet stuff. Just mistyped. All right. So some of it is also being a revolutionary. Generally, disenfranchisement works to take advantage of ideologues who want to change political systems. To the advantage. Oh, okay. So you're saying that when you want to change a political system, you have to disenfranchise the people who would stand in your way. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. That's why
Ostracizing people for
right. Well, that's why you have people who stand up for freedom of speech, and the definition of freedom of speech largely is speech you don't like. Right? Yeah. If you only stand up for speech you do like, you don't stand up for freedom of speech. You stand up for people getting to say things you agree with, right? To actually be an advocate for freedom of speech, you have to tolerate and welcome speech that you disagree with wholeheartedly and do not want to hear, but understand the value in people being able to say it, right? So a lot of people on the left right now, the left has gone so completely back-ass insane, right? That they advocate only the things that they want. Everything is a way to further the narrative or the motives that they want, right? And just completely disregard any opposing views, bury everybody, bury anything. And that's why you end up getting into the double think. No.
Grace just threw up in the playroom. Like, not a small throw up. Like, how did something that small vomit that much?
I am so sorry, babe.
Oh, look, I don't know where it is.
It might be in our bathroom. We're watching my wife watches our church friend's baby while that friend is at work as a teacher. And apparently she just threw up in the playroom. So my wife is looking for bleach. And I totally lost my train of thought. So that's great. But basically, what I was saying is, right. So getting down on right. So mean SJWism, or by meaning SJWism, many are revolutionaries, Marxist. Right. And that's what Marxism is, largely, is us against them. Right. It is a way to, it's a system of control designed to pit one group against another by telling you that they're the problem, right? And they say the thing is that believing you're a revolutionary doesn't actually make you a revolutionary. As they say, war is when your government tells you who the enemy is, and revolution is when you find out for yourself, right? Or maybe it's just war is when you are told who the enemy is, and revolution is when you figure it out for yourself. But anyway. All right, so going back to it, yeah. So getting back to the thing here is the sexual market value is when for women is at its peak when they're young. The younger a woman is evolutionarily, the more value they have to furthering the species. For a man, men age like wine. They actually become more valuable as time goes on because men can have kids like into their 90s, right. And their value is actually quite low when they're young because they don't have any resources. And the whole thing about pair bonding is about, men and women getting together to form a family, to keep the species going. And the trade-off is that women bring fertility and the ability to bear children, and men bring resources and protection, right? And a man fresh out of high school, let's say, has no resources unless he's inherited it, in which case only a foolish woman goes to that guy because he's not going to keep that money for long. And he has largely no value, and he can't really protect. There's nothing Like he's got nothing, right? So modern society takes a huge risk on couples that get married when they're young. This is a gamble. And I'm not arguing at all that women should exclusively date older guys or anything like that. I'm just saying that biologically speaking, it is a gamble, right? So women are oftentimes attracted to older men because they're past the age of they're past the point of their life where they're being tried, right, for whether or not they're going to come out the other side successful or a failure, right? So when a man has gotten into his mid to late 30s, let's say, and he's got a really high paying job, he's already accumulated a lot of resources, maybe he's already bought a house that he's paying off. These are signs of someone who long term is going to have value and resources to provide to a family that could be made through copulation of a woman who is fertile. Now, women in their late 30s, in their 40s, are on the decline of being able to have kids, right? So that's why there's this dynamic. So number one, that's one aspect to getting all the way back to the point about the comment here saying that I'm going to be on my guard around any middle-aged guy who's reading Morning. And I said, actually, I think that significantly more girls are going to be reading this than guys, is because number one, evolutionarily, there's an aspect for it, but also there's just a kink for age play. There just is. And it's something that I think probably crosses both sexes, but I think in this type, that taboo romance is largely more female oriented, Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I'm based, as they say, as I've been called. Any kids used to equal income / insurance in the old agrarian type of society? Oh, and kids, like having kids used to equal income / insurance. Okay, cool. So, let's get back to this. It's worth pointing out that while the Musume no Tomodachi video was posted through the official Morning Twitter account, the series itself doesn't actually run in the weekly Morning print magazine. Instead, Musume no Tomodachi is serialized through Kodansha's Comic Days manga app. Oddly enough, the series first collected volume, I think there should be like an apostrophe here. The series' first collected volume went on sale back in August without attracting any major controversy. Isn't that how it always is, right? People have to be offended by something because, the Twitter is a machine of you scroll long enough through any feed and you'll find something to complain about, right? I think a lot of people get to that point where even if you're not actually complaining, you're just communicating with another person. You'll notice you'll start typing, and you'll type out a message that's maybe 3 sentences long or so, and then you just hold the backspace button and say, you know what, forget it. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to have to have this conversation. Right. Anyway, so. However, the morning tweet from the morning, what was it called? Morning is what the stupid version of their publication is called. The morning tweet, which was posted on November 15th to coincide with the release date of the second collected volume, seems to have brought the series to many people's attention for the first time. Which, once again, this is fucking Twitter. You just happen to be in the right place at the right time to see it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this is a sentiment I share here. That's why you deleted all your social media. I exclusively use social media for like the business aspect of it. I don't like to keep in contact with anybody. I took my birthday off of Facebook because I don't like getting notifications all day on my birthday from people that I know only remembered it was my birthday because Facebook told them when they woke up in the morning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's not a slight at you, Reese, because I knew you actually remembered. And that's what I mean, is that it actually means something if the person legitimately thought about it and remembered and knew before sending the message, rather than being told, that, hey, that fake relationship you're basically in with 900 friends, 13 of them have a birthday today,
Yeah.
Anyway, Comic Days offers previews of selected chapters of Musume no Tomodachi, and leafing through them doesn't show any explicitly sexual content. Right, and I don't think it's erotic. Those scenes of Kosuke and Koto conversing with their faces in close proximity, which is kind of what I was showing you in the tweet earlier, and Koto's cheeks flushed with color, don't seem to be rare occurrences. It's not surprising that some people would see such moments as red flags, but it wasn't all that long ago that After the Rain, a manga/anime about a schoolgirl who develops romantic feelings about her middle-aged male boss, who is also a single father, at her part-time job, changed many people's initially opposed minds by being a chaste story that was actually more about emotional strength and self-worth than forbidden romance and titillation. Sorry. After the Rain earned enough mainstream acceptance in Japan that it even got a positively received live-action movie adaptation. Well, you say that, but this is like one of the... First of all, how the fuck does she have rim lighting on her? Is this a green screen shoot? Why does that look so out of place? I'm pretty sure this is a green screen shoot. Why is she lit so much on her shoes? Also, this looks like I want to cringe so hard at this pose. I'd have to actually watch the thing to get this, but it just seems so weird. In Musume no Tomodachi, Kosuke is a widower who's unhappy with the state of his job and who's also being emotionally shut out by his teen daughter. So there's a chance that his relationship with Koto won't be about love or sex, but simply about how to cope with the isolation he's feeling while floundering with the traditional roles he's trying to fill. There's even a linguistic backdoor built in, as in addition to, quote, my daughter's friend, Musume no Tomodachi could alternatively be translated as my friend who is a girl. No, wait. Well, I guess that's a bit of a stretch, but I guess, because they're saying that the qualifier turns this into, so no is ownership in Japanese, but it can also be used to create an adjective out of the previous word, right? So it could be my Tomodachi meaning friend and Musume meaning young girl, right? Mm-hmm. I guess you could say that, showing that the story is about Kosuke's warm but strictly platonic relationship with the teenager. I'm going to tell you this right now. Author, if these characters don't bang, you're not going to sell any more books. Just saying, let's be real here. The people who are into this aren't buying it for platonic romance or whatever. Anyway, however, After the Rain had an easier time in warding off accusations of skeeviness by primarily structuring itself as a tale of a girl with a crush on an older guy, right? Reversing it. Which I think actually is usually how the female, that the trope of the age gap or whatever for that, like fandom or whatever, is usually that way. The female longing for the older guy rather than the other way around, because it does come across as creepier, I guess, is what they're getting at. Mm-hmm. I didn't actually read the whole article before we got here, so this is actually new information, which I'm agreeing with here. Anyway. Hence the reason why I said it didn't translate properly to my daughter's friend, and they're addressing that. Anyway, and therefore implying that she's not getting dragged or tricked into a relationship beyond what she's hoping for. In the case of Musume no Tomodachi, it's the older man who's presented as the main character, and many would argue that places a far greater burden of proof on it to convince readers that Kosuke's intentions and actions are neither immoral nor illegal. Well, I'll just say, having watched a lot of anime, I have seen many romances, aka harems, where the main male character has no interest / desire / is completely oblivious to the feelings and attraction coming at him from the female characters, and that they are the ones driving everything. So I feel like it would be quite easy for the story to unfold that way, since it's kind of a trope that always happens. But anyway, that's that. Have you ever seen what's that movie called, or that anime series called? It was released by Jin-Roh back in the day. It's called. It's one I get. I guarantee it's gonna be right next to me. It always is. It's called. I want to say Kare Kano, but that's the his and her circumstances, isn't it? It's called. There's a thing Genion released a while ago, and it's literally a love story between an older brother and younger sister that are, I think, if I recall correctly, are step siblings, but like the age gap is real, you know.
Taki says she's Koikaze.
Koikaze, that's it. Thank you. That is it.
All
right. Yeah. So anyway, this isn't anything new. It's even come to the States, you know, like Koikaze has a Genion release, like I said. Just gonna address the chat real quick. I missed this one. I'm super interested in this. I would love to discuss it with you sometime. Some nobody, I would love to have you co-host with us sometime if you'd like, if you're interested. But just FYI, so it's not a shock to anybody, there's going to be a 2-week hiatus on the podcast because I am going to start working from officially 5 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., even though I get there at like 4:45 and leave at like 7:45 or 8 for the next 19 days straight. So I'm not going to be able to do the podcast. I'm not going to be able to keep up with anything. During breaks, I will probably try to read a few articles just so that I can loosen that burden a little bit, or maybe stay up to date with the Vic case, even though I don't think there's going to be anything for the next 2 weeks, which is going to be good because it's going to go into the appeals court, which is probably going to take about 6 months. So there's probably not going to be a lot, but the thing is that with that case, there's not supposed to have been a whole lot, and there's a lot more than should be because people can't shut up. Anyway, and I don't know what this is about. It's a JoJo. Oh, the JoJo pose. You're referring to the, what was it called again? After the Rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so shiny. Well, she looks photoshopped in.
Yeah.
You know, if I were to hit play and this was just her pose with a bunch of backgrounds flashing by, it would explain everything. Because that's what it looks like it probably could be.
Yeah.
But like the lighting is so harsh they have a studio light hitting her on her shoes, on her bag, on her hair, you know, but this is like an overcast day. It looks like, you know what I mean? Anyway, like as bright as this is on her shoes, or maybe as bright as that is,
It does look like she's sitting on a green screen.
Right. We're good. We got it. All right. I've made my point. Doesn't have a word for friendship. So that could mean the friendship of the girl.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, what you mean by they don't have a word for friendship, you mean that Tomodachi is the word for friend. They don't have a word the way we use for friendship. So they have to combine other words in order to basically translate into what would be considered friendship, is what you're saying. Just for everybody else who didn't get that. And also, heck yeah. Oh, about joining, that'd be awesome. All right, totally. So yeah, let's get into games real quick. There's actually not a whole lot left.
I'll be right back. I need to go
go for
something.
Go for it. All right. So Landgrisser, or however it's supposed to be pronounced, 1 and 2 set to release March 2020 for the PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Now, if you watch this, first of all, literally the only thing that made me even read this article, I didn't even read it, I just watched the stupid video, is that, so basically we've got updated graphics, right? This is the original, this is the update, this is the original, this is the update. And even if the game graphics look better, replacing Satoshi Urushihara's artwork with this one is a mistake. But also they tried to do this thing where, right, so this is updating the graphics, right? So this is the old menu style, new menu style. The map looks really good. So here's the old map style. Here's the new one. But the problem is it starts to look like a mobile game. Which, I don't know. It said it didn't say mobile. It said like Switch and PC and PS4 and all that. But let me get to one of the battle scenes. Oh, like this looked really cool back in the day. And now we've just got like, it's an iPhone game. You know what I mean? So that's unfortunate. Also, Satoshi Urashihara should not be replaced ever. Just use the old artwork. Resident Evil 3 Remake allegedly coming in 2020. I didn't read this article, but it didn't. I did actually read this article. I was going to read a different one I was going to potentially use, but didn't want to because it's all initially reported on by YouTuber Spawnwave, who is said to be the first person to talk about From Software's Elden Ring before it was announced. So it's an unsupported theory or whatever. Like, you know, like they don't have proof, but also the person was right about something in the past. So make of that what you will. I wouldn't be surprised if they remade it, considering how well the other one did. Did they remake Resident Evil 2 yet, though?
I don't know.
They just did Resident Evil Remake, right? They just did the original, right?
I guess. you know more
anyway.
than I do.
Okay. Tencent Street Fighter Duel resembling Persona 5. Damn it, I shared this so that I could talk about it with FDM, and he is not here anymore, or whatever. But
Persona 5 fan or Persona fan.
Yeah. Well, he is a major one or whatever, so that's why. But yeah, it very much like, I mean, I'm gonna read the article because it's just these little things here, and it concisely sets up the whole point. In typical Chinese fashion, Tencent has continued to exercise their expertise in, quote, imitation, as their upcoming Street Fighter Duel mobile game seems to resemble Persona 5 in some aspects. So not only did they literally just rip off the menu here, right, or whatever it is, the press any button or whatever, but these are like the speech bubbles and shit.
Jeez.
I mean,
did they? God, just make sure it's just a little bit different.
Did they think nobody would notice? I mean, that's pretty amazing. That flat out, straight up ripoff. Yeah. Master 25 wants to know if I will still collect anime in 30 years. So I'll say this: the limiting factor in whether or not I'm still collecting anime in 30 years is if they're still distributing it on disc. And also if I have a house that, because this is getting, the walls are kind of closing in here, because this is like my overflow shelf, right? You can kind of see there's actually another set of DVDs and stuff behind that. Not that you can even see it, no matter how many I take out. And that is starting to make this room very uncomfortable and hard to work in. And every time I've gotten so much new stuff, including the stuff you sent me, Reese, that I can't allocate into the collection because I don't have time. It literally takes like a whole day to take one item that goes like in the beginning and have to slide everything down because I have to take everything out of here and then, move that somewhere so that I can get there, and then move it back so that I can get to the spot where I allocated it to, and then move it back again when I need to, because it's a constant thing. It's really annoying. But I'd like to be.
You got another box on the way too, so.
Oh, do I?
Oh yeah,
nice.
I sent you the track number yesterday.
Oh, you did. I was at work for 14 hours, so I didn't think about it.
I didn't know if you had seen that, but yeah.
Appreciate it. Reports claim Hideo Kojima is teasing a horror-related project. So reports are flooding in and are saying that Hideo Kojima might be working on a new project. Additionally, indications of past remarks from Kojima resonate with a new tweet, which publication sites believe is a clue to his next work. So basically, these different places talked about the tweet. One of them said, this digital trend site said, they pulled up an interview between him and Rocket Beans Gaming, some website or some YouTube channel or whatever, where the creator of Death Stranding elaborates on making a scary title. This is what he said. Now you can hear, well, you don't hear him, you hear the translator say it, but here's what he said. I want to do a horror game one day. Yes, of course. I have some new ideas that I think kind of get out there, but I don't know when. I'll have to think about when I bring this out. Horror. When it comes to movies, you can just kind of close your eyes watching a really fearful thing. Games are different than movies. If you close your eyes in a movie, you can make it go away and the movie continues. But in games, it's interactive. You have to move forward yourself. Which I thought was a astute observation. It's one of those things that's really obvious when you think about it. But like, being the person that articulates that into words, kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? Like somewhat, it's like it really, it shows the thought process, you know? So looking back to the piece that Digital Trends has set up, that's the website that covered it. The site found that the following tweet by Kojima mentioning that if he wants to make the scariest horror game, he must watch the 2002 Thai film, The Eye, which I've said numerous times is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen. And it's not impossible to get through or anything. Like, I don't know what he's talking about here. He says, as to make the scariest horror game, I'll watch the scary movies in order to awaken my horror soul. The Eye is the Thai horror movie I rent when making PT, but was too scary to finish watching. The package is scary, so I rented the disc only. Will I be able to finish watching? Which I don't know what he means, because it looks like he's got the package right here. Although this is not the packaging that the other releases have, the one that I saw. But this movie, I don't know what it is about it, but it's downright, like there are just a couple scenes in it that will stick with you forever, right? Anyway. So I should note that some people believe that he's referring to PT, but others believe he's teasing a horror game to come years later. However it goes, there's no denying that Kojima is fascinated in horror genre and wants to make a spooky video game, as per his interview with Rocket Beans Gaming. With all that said, would you like to blah, blah, blah. So but he references PT about this. Like, it sounds like he's saying this tweet must have come after. Yeah, this was from a couple days ago. And he's got to be talking about something else. And then again, this is a speculation on whether or not he's going to be doing a new thing. But anyway, because there's those people that write articles about everything somebody they follow on Twitter says. So whatever. All right, Sam Lake, creator of Max Payne, says, "Shh, I'm in a brand new top secret writing layer. I #am writing a new story. You have been warned." And it says at Remedy Games. Now, the article that I originally lifted this from talked about how they don't know if it's actually for a game or for a live action series, because I think Alan Wake, which he also made, is getting a TV series. But the fact that he tagged Remedy Games in it kind of makes me feel like it is for a game.
Yeah. And
personally, I really hope it's another installment of Max Payne with him at the helm, because I've loved the first two. Never got through the third one because I couldn't get past the first level on the cracked version of it I played on PC. Like it would just go into a loading loop or whatever. But yeah, he was actually the model for Max Payne in the original game before, like when it was really low budget and they were just coming up with the idea of how to do it and everything. And then they got an actor for Max Payne 2. And then they used the same actor, even whether they paid him or not, for Max Payne 3. I don't know if you guys know that. Anyway, so here's an interesting story. China man spends $1.5 million on a massively multiplayer online game character, and his friend sells it for $500.
That's rough.
First of all, who the hell is spending $1.5 million on a game? Although I say, after having played Pokemon Go for several years and bought all the upgrades, I probably sank like $400 into that over time, right?
They just increased the Pokemon storage to 3,000.
What? So yeah. Anyway, hold on, one of my AirPods is dying. I don't know why I check it. It's always the right one. I just somehow, as I'm taking it out, threw it into the case by accident, and it went in and then popped out and landed in my arm. Anyway, all right. So a rather bizarre case has emerged as a Justice Online player. The game is called Justice Online. As a Justice Online player spent over $1 million on a character, which was then accidentally sold by his friend for a little over $500. The player spent between 8 and 10 million won, which is between $1,140,000 and $1,420,000 US, on a character for the MMORPG known as Justice Online. He later allowed a friend to take control of the character, and the friend offered to sell it back to him for around, US $55,000. So first of all, worst friend ever, right? Yeah. Like what even is that? I don't know what this is. I don't know what that means. In an unfortunate turn of events, the friend had become so dizzy from the constant gaming that he made a typing error, putting the character on sale in the marketplace for around $550. So basically, he did, instead of 388,000 won, he did 3,881, right? So a third party immediately bought the character.
Obviously.
The character's original owner then sued both his friend and the game's publisher NetEase for the loss of the character. An online judge, I don't know what that means. Do they have online judges in China? An online judge decided to order the game's publisher NetEase to cancel the transaction. And the character's original owner paid 90,000 won, or slightly under 13,000 US dollars, in damages to the player who bought the character at auction. So this guy, well, let me finish here. The local court took the opportunity to warn citizens not to spend too much money on video games. Of course they did. And of course this is going to be used as a reason why China's banning kids from playing more than an hour worth of games or whatever. Mm-hmm. But this guy spent somewhere between 1,140,000, 1,420,000 US dollars on this character. Then his friend sells it for $500. And this guy, in order to get it back, has to sue, which costs him a lot of money, and then is forced to pay the guy who bought the $1 million character for $500 an additional $13,000.
I mean, the guy who bought it for $500 gets $13,000 instead.
Yep.
It's like, I mean,
not a bad deal.
That's not a bad
right?
deal for him. It was like, what's deal for the other guy? But
I mean, because even if he had gotten the character worth $1.5 million, who's he going to sell that to?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he made out either way.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So, real quick, let me double check that we've got adult content turned off.
Speaking of your overflow, did you ever get your Steins Gate 0 limited edition?
No.
Yet?
The guy hasn't shipped it yet.
Oh.
And I'm because of the podcast, because I have to do pickups and have something to show the for the thumbnail or whatever.
I remember you talking about that. I remember, we skipped pickups.
Yeah, so I want to. I feel like on Black Friday, not that I'll even remember to do this, but I feel like that is going to sell for a lot less on Right Stuff.
Probably.
Than I paid for it on eBay.
I'll bet you. I bet you it probably is.
So I'm kind of
on the fence about canceling
with the. Well, I don't. It's not easy to cancel an eBay purchase, but the fact that the guy hasn't sent it yet, and I don't think he's replied back to me when I said, like, when have you sent it, or when is it going to be on its way or whatever. Mm-hmm. I might try to cancel it because I bought it like a week ago, and it's just been like, you paid.
Yeah,
that's great. Where's the shipment confirmation, all that, you know? But I kind of feel like if I wait long enough that I can buy it on Right Stuff new for cheaper, then that very day.
This was a used set you got for $48 or whatever.
Yeah. So the guy in the description, said that he bought it before paying some bills and realized he didn't have enough or something like to pay his bills or whatever. So he wanted to sell it for like $10 less than the new price or whatever, or less than the Right Stuff price for new, which is like $60 something. And it had this price or best offer. So I'm like, all right, man, $30. All right. As in, I undercut way lower than I'm actually willing to spend, so that you will come back and say, no, not $30, $50, right? And then we'll meet somewhere in the middle, right? That guy doesn't know how bidding or like that type of bidding or whatever works in the auctioning. So he, or bargaining rather. So he just lets the day go by, doesn't sell it. And then I bid, or I tell like, I'm willing to pay $35, right? And when you are the person suggesting anything, you only have three options. You have three shots rather. And then you don't get to submit a new one. You either buy it at the price he's asking, or you don't buy it at all, right? So I said $35, and then he sent me a message the next time saying, I can't sell it for that price, sorry, because blah blah blah. And I just said, I understand that $40 submission. But the thing is that I can buy it new for slightly more than you're selling it for. Right. And it's like, it's no skin off my nose if you don't want to sell it. So he accepts the $40 one. And then, of course, it's $40 plus $8 shipping. Right. And then I'm like at $48. I'm like, I'm already like, I don't want to buy this, you know.
Yeah, $8
but
in
I already.
shipping. He's gonna send it media mail, which is only like $4.
Oh yeah, no, I got that. Yeah, but the thing is that my old series of Steins Gate is also used. So it's opened and everything already. So I kind of like, you know, it kind of matches more to not be in the shrink wrap. So I was kind of okay with it. But once again, if I can get it for cheaper on Right Stuff brand new, I'd rather do that, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so that hasn't arrived yet. And I need to remember on Black Friday, which is literally this Friday, that if sales allow me to, I should buy it off of Right Stuff and then cancel immediately that order if I can. I don't even know the process of doing that because eBay's so like when you commit to buy something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that they would side with me.
PayPal, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they would side with me because he hasn't sent it yet or whatever. Yeah. I'm sure they would side with me, but just the process of doing that.
Yeah.
When I don't have, it's not like I'm coming home at 4:30 and having a few hours to figure that out before going to bed. It's literally, I'm on break and I got to do that immediately during break through my phone and monitor it through my phone only when I'm on break. And as I get off work, I'm already supposed to be asleep in order to get the full 8 hours before I have to be back at work, kind of thing. So it's going to be really crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm looking at Right Stuff right now, and Hide All Adult is on, but there's literally nothing new from what we talked about last week. So I'm going to just go ahead and close that.
Did you see my post on Discord about the Aniplex titles going for half price?
Oh, on the Right Stuff sale. Oh, I wish I could take advantage of that. I really do.
Yeah, that's kind of a hint of what you're getting.
Oh, okay.
I bid on it. I was like,
appreciate that.
I bid on it. So you're getting Blue Exorcist for Christmas.
All right, on. I appreciate that. By the way, I'm going to make sure to credit you in that video in the description with a link to your channel and all that for being such a help. So anyway, regarding release news, Dark Horse to release Hellsing manga in hardcover deluxe editions. What I think is funny about this is that it, at first glance, looks like a Bible. The Holy Bible. Hold on, let me get my glasses. No, that says Hellsing, right? Like if it had gold leafing, like lettering or whatever, man, you know.
The cross had like the darker. The engraved part for the cross had gold. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so that's cool that they're doing that.
So there's gonna be 3 of those.
Yeah, I think that personally, I think I have the Hellsing manga, like 1 or 2 volumes of it, and I think the anime is a way better.
Yeah.
The story, like the adaptation's better.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I could say is that rather. There's the Hellsing anime. Maybe I haven't read. I think I have read the first issue, but what I'm actually comparing it to isn't the manga. It's Hellsing versus Hellsing Ultimate, and the beginning of Hellsing Ultimate is suck compared to the beginning of the original Hellsing.
It is slow.
What's his name? Crispin Freeman has a great line that is so fucking cheesy, but it's wonderful. Where he says it's a nice night to get a bite to drink.
Yeah.
Right. There's a line in the censored version of Spawn. Did you ever see the movie Spawn with Michael Jai White?
I've seen it, but I can't tell you if I remember everything about it.
So I first saw that movie on TV at my grandma's house. And it was like, as a young kid, I knew my mom would never let me watch Spawn. Right. Because I had friends whose parents let them get into whatever they wanted. I knew they were into it. They brought action figures to school. It was the coolest thing ever. I used to go to the comic book shop and I saw the amazing Todd McFarlane artwork for it and everything. And it spoke to you, but it was also deeply dark and evil. Yep. You know what I mean? So I knew my mom would never let me watch it. But I was at my grandma's house and I got to watch it, the censored, like for TV version.
Yeah.
And there's this one line in there that is so much better in the censored version than in the uncut version, where after the scene where where the girl tries to kick him in the nuts and the thing comes out of his belt and bites her leg, There's a part where like the police, like he's on the side of a building and the police start shooting him. I think it's when his chains first come out or something like that. And they start shooting at him and he like gets away. There's a line in the censored version where he goes, "Oh, hell yeah," when the power manifests itself. And I thought it was hilarious because it's like spawn hell and all that stuff. In the censored version, he goes, or in the uncut version, he goes, "Holy shit." Like, it's just like so dumb and generic. Anyway, enough with that tangent. All right. So get the scoop on Sherlockian anime with the Sherlock Holmes dictionary. So my son actually just did a book report on what's that stupid story called? The Blue Carbuncle? Like the Sherlock Holmes story. My son's in first grade. They're doing way more stuff in first grade than when I was in first grade. Anyway, that's what got me like interested in having this or whatever. But I was hoping it was going to be, it's interesting, right? It's not translated. If it is translated, I'll definitely get it for my kid. But I thought it was going to be a dictionary of all the references to Sherlock Holmes and all these different anime and stuff. But it appears, because that's what they kind of give you with the headers, but that's kind of not really, I don't think, what it is. Anyway, just breezing past that train wreck of a segment. Epic, a tribute to Chrono Trigger, features 60 remix songs and is available now. So if you're a fan of Chrono Trigger, I'm going to highly recommend you pick this up, because very similar to Mega Ran's Final Fantasy tribute, where he got a bunch of artists together and they took the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack and he raps, or somebody else raps all the songs, right? To the old beats and stuff. Like they have a whole song sung in the style of Don Corneo being the singer, right? And that it's amazing. Great album. This one does something really interesting where, like for instance, the song "The Trial," which is the one that plays while Chrono is on trial in the beginning of the game. They have a Broadway rendition of it, where like they sing what's happening and like they have the characters singing together from the perspective of like, I didn't do it, or Chrono's a silent protagonist. It's like the witnesses come to stand and talk about everything. And it's literally direct lines, a lot of them, from the translation of the game being put. It's really well put together. But it's not just like, if you're into Broadway, I mean, all of these are interesting, right? Like they have an interesting tribute worth checking out. I shouldn't say worth getting, worth checking out if you're into Yasunori Mitsuda's score for Chrono Trigger. Anyway, Osaka store catering to menstrual goods has staff wear badges if they're on their period. Okay, so I want to open up these next couple articles in Safari so that we can actually see the embedded tweets and stuff. And I wanted my wife to be here for this one, just to get a lady's take on this. Let me just open these.
Oh god, they got the freaking the walking period mascot thing in there.
Yeah. Hey, speak of the waifu.
What I missed?
We're gonna here. Let me give you this AirPod. It's charged. Okay. Osaka store catering to menstrual goods has staff wear badges saying if they're on their period. Oh, hold on. Let me stop screen sharing and start on the actual Safari tab where you guys can see the. The ultimate store for feminine needs, period. Even though menstruation is a perfectly normal part of human life, it has been a bit of a taboo subject in Japan, with certain places refusing to allow women simply because of their monthly periods. Julie says, what? Yeah, so the heir to the famous Jin-Roh Dreams of Sushi restaurant says that women can't be sushi chefs because they menstruate.
Is our blood just gonna like flying out all over the food? Like what?
No, I think it's because you attract bears.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's right.
And they're gonna come eat all the fish.
Famous Japanese bears that wander in the streets of Tokyo.
Pandas, right?
That's
No,
China.
I'm just kidding. So this is also linked to 4 things women are banned from doing in Japan.
No women on trees.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to climb to the top of Mount Omine. You can't go these different. Actually, that's the same part of the same one. Entering the sumo ring, taking part in sumo competitions and rituals. Although there is like a women's sumo. You semi-banned staying in capsule hotels. And also becoming sushi chef, which is just a continuation of the thing we just talked about.
Are the capsule hotels just like out of safety for the women?
I don't know. They say it's according to this article, which again is just to get you to click on it to get them more ads money because of their monthly periods. I don't know. We could read that article on our own time if you want to afterward. But in recent years, is your mom calling you?
Oh, they're calling me. Yeah, I'll be right back.
I really want to be part of this. I'm right here. I'm doing an article, but not now.
We're not doing abs?
Ads.
Ads, okay.
Not doing an ad.
So, but in recent years, many in Japan have been trying to reclaim this regular part of their lives, even making it cute with goods like Sailor Moon feminine pads, which when I clicked on this before took me to the thing. Yeah, it's still the wrong link. So I don't know what that's about. I mean, it might be on the side here somewhere, but because you know how those are the most popular. They link the articles that have similar tags because they're geniuses on the site. Oh, hey, my other lady in my life.
Just for a second.
Mommy, I'm daddy. What are you talking about? Daddy.
Mommy, other mommy.
All right. So
Whatever you identify today, yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's trending right now, right?
And now one department store in Osaka has taken a giant leap in the next direction. Not only are they opening up a store dedicated to women's sexuality and period needs, but they're also striving to lower the stigma of menstruation by having staff members wear badges saying if they're on their period. The regular name tag on the left and the period badge on the right, wearing it or not, is left up to each staff member personally, which I think is hilarious.
Wait, where is this? I'm sorry, I missed this.
Where's what?
Where are they doing this?
Osaka?
Just Osaka in general?
In an Osaka, a store that opened in Osaka, a department store. Chloe, stop that.
That's so wrong.
So my favorite thing about this is that because it's left up to the discretion of the staff member, right? It's like I didn't have my coffee today and I drank too much last night, so I'm kind of not in the mood to be nice to customers. So I'm just gonna put on my I'm having a period badge, right?
Again, you had it on last week,
right? the regular customer's like, "Damn, you bleed a lot."
Do they have a mascot?
Right. So do you remember I told you about Sari-chan and Libido-kun from that webcomic?
I vaguely remember.
Okay. So the character on the period tag is Sari-chan, Japan's mascot for periods. Maybe this has the link to Libido-kun. I don't think I ever showed you. Right. So this is the webcomic.
It's me, Sari.
Yeah.
What the heck? What is she doing to that woman?
She's an anthropomorphized period.
My periods have never done that.
Okay,
You want to go with Dad?
She's gonna go with that.
So the characters on the period tag is Sari-chan, Japan's mascot for periods, who has original manga and other goods available in the store too, right? So you can see all the things that they have.
some nobody said we're all synced up. That bitch is lying about you're not on your period.
Yeah, about the store is Michikake, part of the Daimaru department store in Umeda, Osaka. It opened on November 22nd in collaboration with the period prediction app Luna Luna. It's weird that they didn't capitalize Michikake, who is like, that's like the department store brainchild of Michio Kaku, or Kaku, the theoretical physicist, right? So just like how the app separates menstruation, damn it, this is the part I want my wife to be here for. Julie, come back. Okay. I want to know if this has any
Sorry, YouTube. I'm just putting it
Okay.
on.
Does this mean anything? Okay, so the store is Michi Kake,
Okay.
part of the Daimaru department store in Umeda, Osaka. It opened on November 22nd in collaboration with the period prediction app Luna Luna. Just like how the app separates menstruation into 4 periods, the blue period, on your period, the glittering period, after your period, the turbulence period, when you feel irritable, and the gloomy period, right before your period. The shop itself organizes merchandise into the 4 categories too, in order to better serve customers' needs. In addition to menstrual goods, the store also has underwear, medicine, herbal tea, cosmetics, bedding materials, and of course, adult toys for women.
Okay, so it's a women's store.
Yeah, for women's
Okay,
sexuality and
okay.
periods.
I thought it was just like a random store.
Just for tampons.
Freaking Walmart.
Like an entire
like a Walmart. with
an entire department store dedicated to pads and wipes and creams and stuff.
How uncomfortable.
I don't know what women do.
Creams?
For all the chafing of your period.
What? How long have we been married? Like, have I
8
ever
years?
asked you for some period creams?
Go-
like, honey, can
you
you
go to the
pick me up
store and
some
get me some period cream?
Do they sell punching bags?
Oh yeah.
They probably do.
Gosh,
Some
that'd be
photos
awesome.
some photos of the inside of the shop showing a sample of the goods available. Of course, what has many people talking is the period badges that staff can wear if they are so inclined. It's one thing to sell menstruation goods, but it's a whole other to fully embrace it like this to help eliminate any unnecessary embarrassment or shame between customers and staff. The thing that's funny is that of all places to do this, it's not California, it's Japan.
That's
right?
true.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing about this. You know, imagine department stores in Japan, because the Japanese are so closed off and keep things to themselves, right? Especially like personal things like this. I mean, imagine going to a department store and it's I'm sorry, I just thought of that one movie. It's like, I'm having a herpes flare up, but you would never know it. Anyway, I was gonna say, like, the guy's got his badge on and says, I'm having diarrhea. I have irritable bowel syndrome today, right? You know, like,
Oh gosh.
just all the stuff that you're dealing with. I'm battling depression. Okay, hold on. I gotta address some of these chats.
Yeah, I was like, the chat is actually really hilarious.
Otakuso wants to know if you can buy him Love Live. We talked about if we bought Otakuso Love Live, like all of Love Live, he'd have to
Like
join us
100
on a podcast,
Yeah,
right?
it'd be like 120 some bucks
To discuss it.
something like that.
Yeah, he says JK again. You have to not get this for like a month, then open it to oh yeah, for the item. I think given how long it will have been by the time I get to what do you call it, to Black Friday, that if the price is actually lower on right stuff, that I stand a good chance of just telling them, like telling eBay, hey, they haven't even shipped it yet. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so okay, yeah. I was gonna ask, how would you know? Do they have like a Star Trek scanner that tells you if their hoo-ha's bleeding? We're all synced up. That bitch is lying, referring to putting it on just when you're irritable.
Yeah.
The mascot just needs to be a regular hot anime girl who still has a nice life even when she's menstruating. That's silly. Yeah. Chafing, LOL. Yeah.
I guess no, it can't be
It's
a
like-
hot anime girl when you're on your period. You get
Like
all
it's
these
a
zits and you look
cicada
terrible.
and it has to shed its shell. Oh god, that's so gross. I need that IBS bitch. Alright.
It could be like, but for women, I guess irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh.
So no.
I
Has-
mean,
yeah,
they
then
already got,
up
they
to
already
the
got the
viewer.
poop chan mascot. Just use the poop emoji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The department store manager Takahiro Imazu had this to say about Michi Kake. Why aren't you capitalizing it? That's so weird. In Japan, there's a tendency for women's sexuality and periods to be subjects, quote, not to be mentioned. Not all customers will react positively to this shop, but the femtech boom is growing, and the values of young people are changing with it. I might be going a little far in saying this, but I am excited for it to become a shop for solutions for women's sensitive needs and to be an asset to the marketplace. So what's weird about this is like the femtech boom. What sort of technology do the cicada shells require?
You mean like just periods?
Well, I'm like they're selling. I mean, pretty much the only technology they've got are like the ladies.
I don't know. Go on BuzzFeed. They know everything about like periods. They've done like a whole series.
Yeah,
of
but even
videos.
the men over there are having periods. This is a weird place
Oh,
on BuzzFeed.
I feel sorry for them.
This is the one we talked about in the Tenga chocolate one, the Zen one. Anyway, yeah. So this is the only technology and I feel like Japan's already done a pretty good job of mastering that, like a long time ago.
Mastering the masturbation.
Yeah. Comments online from Japanese netizens varied, mostly concentrating on the period badges. So they said, quote, customers don't want to know if the staff are on their periods. I feel so bad for them wearing them while working. I'm against the badges. Periods affect people differently, especially with age, and there's not a lot of education about that. So making it a focus like that is dangerous. That was mine. Yours is fine. I charge yours. I have anemia and use birth control to help. I thought my condition was normal since I never learned about it anywhere else. Because of that, we need to be more open about sexuality and periods, even more than we already are. I mean, it's not like the badges are even mandatory. So the thing is with this person is that you should be open about it with your doctor.
Yeah.
Right?
And not with everybody on the street.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like I never knew about it. It's like, well, you know, when you had that anemia, did you talk to anybody about it? Right? It's always, it says that wearing the badges is up to the individual staff member, but I doubt they'd be able to refuse their bosses asking. That'd be funny. You just wear it all the time. Yeah, boss. I don't know. It's one of those famous year-long periods.
A special case.
I feel like those Japanese toilets probably help a lot too. There's a lot of people saying that it's, quote, weird or gross, but changing that way of thinking is the exact reason that the shop opened. And don't forget, this store was opened by women for women, not men.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's for women, like.
What do you think? Would you go to a store like this? Let us know in the comments. And if you can't get down to Osaka to check out Michi Kake,
I'm not going down to Osaka.
Then feel free to
Michi
hop
Kake.
into the all-women sushi bar in Tokyo instead. But it might be contaminated with all their period blood.
It will not.
Hold on, I gotta charge one of these. Do you want to let me use yours and just hang with me for a minute?
Yeah, I can just
Thank you.
listen.
Sorry, guys. Hold on, I gotta wait for it to. Oh, whatever. Hold on. I have to disconnect my AirPods and reconnect them real quick because they didn't. All of a sudden, the vacuuming happening at your house ended.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sorry about that.
no, it's fine. I'm just saying, like, I was expecting to hear it when I switched. Okay, there we go. All right, good. So this huge detailed Gundam sculpture was built out of cardboard by Japanese high school students. So they did this they spent, how long?
That's what they do in college. At
They
Cal State Long Beach.
spent
That's cool.
2 years to make it with 5 members in the modeling club at school, and they put it for the cultural festival. Now, I want to bring this up because this is to scale of the one in Odaiba or whatever this one is, in Tokyo rather.
Oh, that's cool.
For this, it's the same Gundam too. And the thing that's worth noting, look at the paint job on this Gundam, and look at the one that they did, which looks arguably way better.
Yeah.
Right?
It looks
Like they detailed it
it's
out.
actually in use, kind of a thing.
Right. It kind of reminds me of the sort of style of the Knights of Sidonia Max. Anyway, it's pretty cool. That's all I want to show you guys about that. Trouble with Stalkers. Japanese moving company offers discount to musicians trying to escape fans.
Musician.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a great
Did you say magicians?
musicians. Did I say magicians?
You said magicians.
I slurred my speech a little bit.
Now you see me. Now you don't.
So I love this article as it unfolds here. So multiple music related scenarios earn band members cheaper bills. Car ownership rates are low in Japan, and the cars people do own tend to be on the smaller side. Because of that, if you're moving, you probably need to pay for a promotional moving service, but there are ways to lower that cost. For example, the last time my wife and I moved, we saved a ton of cash by moving on a weekday morning, since there was a discount for off-peak hours when the moving staff were usually sitting around idle. A Japanese Twitter user at Pickon103 recently shared a photo of a flyer for a moving company that offers a much more unexpected deal, a discount for customers who are in a band. Discount for band members. The flyer for Aichi Prefecture's Maruda Unso Moving Company announces before laying. Hold on. Discount for band musicians. The flyer for Aichi Prefecture's Murata Unso Moving Company announces before laying out a number of scenarios such clients might be looking to relocate. Fans have figured out your address. You want to slip out of town in a hurry without your talent agency's president noticing. You want your musical instruments handled by movers who know how to take proper care of them. You think your lover is going to stab you soon.
Are you trying to get away from the police?
You'd rather be spending money on new instruments than expensive movers. You want a moving company that can work with your nocturnal lifestyle. Okay. Okay. These all sound like understandable reasons to be looking for a new place to live. But why specifically offer this accommodation to musicians? Because, as the flyer goes on to reveal, our driver is a band member himself, so he understands how you feel. Let us put your mind at ease.
All those stabby girlfriends he had.
Yeah. The full version of the flyer with the cat mover saying, "It's tough making music." While there seemed to be a bit of a tongue-in-cheek tone to the advertisement, it's got a cartoon cat hauling boxes on it after all. The discount offer appears genuine and is no doubt. We're actually giving them ad revenue now because we're doing this through Safari. Appears to be genuine and is no doubt a big help to those who need to take advantage of it. Given some of the stalking incidents that have happened in Japan in recent years that involve musicians who aren't at the filthy rich level of showbiz success, odds are there are more than a few would-be recording artists out there who are famous enough to have a mentally unbalanced fan or two, but not famous enough that they don't have to worry about money. And this is the sort of help they'll definitely appreciate. Okay, I gotta address these. Okay, all right. So just make her a little. They're referring to the for the Japanese period mascot being an anime girl or whatever. Just make her a little frumpy, like give her sweatpants and an ahoge, the hair that is out of place. Right, ahoge, not to be confused with ahegao. Ahoge literally means stupid hair. It's the like cowlick that
the antenna I think is usually
antenna. It is weird and gross, but it's also natural. Why does everything have to only be one way or the other? Right. Oh, that's for the Gundam being cool. And yeah, that looks more like a magician in the picture referring to that.
He's trying to touch her leg.
Oh, he kind of is.
Isn't he?
He's trying to make magic happen. I mean, come on. Okay, that was a bad joke.
Yeah,
is she the band member?
That stabbing thing has to be a joke. Yeah, no, seriously. Who's the band member in this picture? Is it him stalking her, or is it her, like him avoiding being stalked by her? I don't know. All right, so let me close out of Safari tab here so we can go back to not that one. And this one right here. And we got our last couple articles. All right. Pope Francis gifted Hoppy depicting himself in anime style. So I decided to share the Sankaku Complex one first because Sankaku Complex is really good for this podcast due to the fact that they snip out screenshots of the video instead of expecting you to play the video. I can show it, through the screenshots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see Pope Francis showing up in Japan, first Pope to land in Japan in 38 years, as if it's a big deal.
He was sitting in somebody's lap in that picture.
Oh, it kind of does look like he's sitting in this guy's lap.
He scrolled really fast. I was like, is he sitting in somebody's lap?
That's awful.
Yeah, he puts it on over his
Eli locked him.
papal garb. Okay. That's all I needed you for if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just want to watch.
Okay. So the there's a bunch of Italian on it and Japanese as well. And it says, these are the things that it says on it. Japanese phrases: gratitude, let's pray together. May there be peace. And we are glad that you're the Pope.
Okay.
You're the Pope, period. Are you trying to read the Italian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, are you looking at the bouncy jigglies?
No.
Here, you can see it better on the next article
My
here.
family's Italian. I was
All right.
trying to read it.
The queer most. That's what it says, right?
No.
Do you mean to zoom in?
No. I'm not gonna read it. You guys.
What does this say?
Conta conmigo. I don't know. I can pronounce it. It doesn't mean I know what it says.
Pope Hope. Is that what that says?
Pope, we are your
Hope?
Hope?
What?
What is that?
Is that a question mark at the end? Pope, we are your hope, question mark.
I can't read it.
That's really funny if that's what that says. So here's what's even funnier about this. Oh, damn it. This needs to be opened up in Safari as well. Shoot. 1 second. I didn't know. All right. Okay. So what I found funny about this is that for some reason the Pope has a logo, right? Protect all life, Pope Francis in Japan, right? They sold merchandise of this, right?
The Pope has merch?
Like, to commemorate this moment, all the Japanese people had to go see the Pope. It's like the Asian tourists, but in their own country.
Well, the Pope is like the Catholic president, so
Right. So they had to go and when Trump goes to Japan, do they all go out and buy the MAGA hats? Right. I'm saying when he goes to Japan, do they buy the MAGA hats? Is that
I don't know.
I'd buy a MAGA hat if it was in katakana or.
Oh, I can make that happen. I can put that on a certain site.
Wait, what?
He said he'd buy a MAGA hat if it was in katakana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Brad will make it happen.
I can make that happen.
Yeah,
I could totally do
You're
that.
probably gonna do it tonight.
I will do that as soon as the podcast is over and lose a lot of followers on that site. Just because it would be funny. I'll make that one special for you. I need to make a second site for like extra stuff that I don't put on the main site. That's out of that, because that's not stealth weeb. That's out in the open Republican or Trump supporter, where like bilingual Trump supporter. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I just think that'll be really funny. So we got here. I thought weebs go to hell. This is a contradiction. I really wish Japan knew about Futurama, so they could have gotten him to wear something with Space Pope on it. Dream shattered.
Oh my God.
They're all because they're so disappointed about that. I told my Japanese teacher about Futurama XD. I can't wait to see if she enjoys it.
Oh boy.
I got well, if I ever do a first impressions with them, this conversation might happen. I got my friend Nick a job at working on Futurama. Because he was too busy working at Bit Theory to do the
test,
the animation test. So I did it, and he submitted it with his name and got the job.
You
And
just admitted to cheating for somebody.
Jesus.
he held his own at the company for a while. Yeah, so apparently they probably sold a lot of. How many Catholic people are in Japan?
Catholicism is huge.
I
don't
bet
think,
somebody's
you know.
faking. They're in it for the tweets.
Well, I think people would just go to see the Pope anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't have to be Catholic.
Literally, there is a social media account called @Pope in Japan for this friggin' event, just to cover it.
This is Pope in Japan 2019.
Hallelujah! I had to read that like 4 times before I'm a little bit rusty on katakana, and I thought that was foo at first. I'm like, hallelujah! Yeah, peace be with you. That's good. Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So nobody is saying very few regarding Catholic. It's probably just a cool event to go see the Pope. Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably.
They're in it for the tweets.
Yeah. So let me see if there are any other Sora news articles. Yeah, I'll just jump this one up real quick so that we can get the full view. Oh, actually, I can't do this one in because I highlighted it, so we don't have to go through the whole thing. So only a couple. Okay. So let me go ahead and screen share, and we'll get through the last 3. Julie, you're gonna love the next one after this one. Totally not gonna be weirded out at all.
What?
Overworked Japan celebrated Labor Day on a Saturday this year. Enjoy your day off, which you would have had anyway.
Yeah.
So, Japan's national holiday law, also known as Act Number 178 of 1948, establishes the framework for the modern holiday schedule and stipulates that if a national holiday falls on a Sunday, then the earliest following day, which is not already a national holiday, will be designated as a holiday for that year. However, you'll notice that the law specifically says if a national holiday falls on a Sunday, not on a weekend. In other words, if a national holiday falls on a Saturday, like Labor Day did this year, then it becomes a holiday in name only. This is a harsh contrast with the system in the US, which stipulates that when a holiday falls on a Sunday, it will be observed on the following day. Essentially the same rules as in Japan, but also that if the holiday falls on a Saturday, it will be observed on the preceding Friday. Oh, I hate it. I hate it that I didn't get the H. All right. However, it's worth pointing out that Japan doesn't always get the short end of the stick for holidays. For example, once again, compared to the US, Japan has 15 national holidays a year, which is 50% more than the US's 10. And sometimes the gap is even greater. Thanks to the generous subclause 3 of Article 3 of Japan's national holiday law, when 2 Japanese holidays are separated by a single non-holiday weekday, that weekday is transformed into a holiday too. Nice. That's something that happened twice this year, which takes just a little bit of the sting out of the Labor Day falling on what was already a day off. So basically, you get a 3-day holiday, which could turn into like a 5-day weekend theoretically.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Friday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah.
But I wonder if people work anyway.
Probably.
Because they
depends on it.
I just wonder because I've heard like people in Japan work really hard to a fault.
They had to.
Let's talk about this Chinaman.
They had to use a Stolfa.
Yeah.
What?
Chinaman grows lactating breasts due to brain tumor.
What?
I have to make sure YouTube knows this is a man we're talking about. A rather bizarre medical case has surfaced as a Chinaman, I love how they call him that instead of a Chinese guy, as a Chinaman has grown B-cup breasts that
Those aren't B-cups in the picture.
Oh, yeah, I know. You're going to see his B cups in a minute.
Oh,
Has grown B cup breasts that
I
are
don't know
able
what
to
I want
lactate, with a non-cancerous tumor in his brain being labeled as the cause of this odd phenomenon. The 25-year-old worker explained that he felt ashamed his entire life due to his oversized breasts and consulted a doctor when he found they grew to the size of B cups and could lactate. He felt embarrassed since he was a youth about going to public places as he thought he would be judged because of his body. On top of this, it was said that he had, quote, trouble growing beards. I mean, don't a lot of Chinese guys not really grow a lot of facial hair, though?
yeah, but maybe. I mean,
the best they can do is like the Fu Manchu.
I don't know. I only have a few Chinese friends, so
Some nobody says, those are like M cups, as in, Oh.
But you got a dick in there, so you're not gonna say.
Yeah, Astolfo is a trap for anybody who's unaware. Anyway, so trouble growing beards, and his skin was smoother than that of even his female friends. A statement from the man.
because he didn't have the periods. Sorry.
Compared to the others, my breasts are too obvious. There are several times I wanted to work out, but I dared to not wear tight clothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Doctors informed him that the odd condition was brought on by a prolactinoma as caused
it was going to be in his pituitary gland.
Right, as caused by a non-cancerous tumor located in the pituitary gland, which is responsible for controlling hormones in the brain.
Yep, and your growth, all that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay.
People who have overactive pituitary glands tend to grow,
which happens
like,
in
really,
China. That's
really
why.
tall.
That's why that one guy was so tall. That they put in Rush Hour 3. Remember we watched that special about him before we even saw that movie?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
YouTube, this is a man. Looks like he's got a 6-pack of boobs. So I'll just put that there so you guys don't have to look at it the whole time. Doctors informed him that the odd condition was brought on by prolactinoma as caused by a non-cancerous tumor located in the pituitary gland, which is responsible for controlling hormones in the brain. The pitiable man's prolactin levels, a hormone that informs the woman's body to produce milk, were described to be 10 times higher than normal and 5 times greater than the levels of a new mother.
Oh my gosh, that poor man.
Okay, so low-key, prolactin is also the hormone that secretes in a man's brain after he orgasms that causes him to get soft.
Oh, poor
So
man.
this poor guy is unable to achieve erection on top of everything else. It's the thing that
Okay, we should all pray for this guy.
yeah. Well, hey. Let's keep reading.
Okay.
The deputy head endocrinologist of Hangzhou Traditional Medicine Hospital. Oh shit, he went to no, just kidding. Claimed that milk squirted out half a meter when the man's nipple was squeezed. I like how that's something that the medical doctors decided was worth writing down. Thankfully, after being prescribed medication, the half-man's tumor has shrunken significantly along with his mammary blades. I don't know what that's a reference to. As he has even begun growing a beard. Well, good for him. He's probably had the first erection of his adult life.
I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, because as verses he says, they milked the man. Come on. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta read these. Hold on. All right. You got a text message.
Start the year on a Sunday, ends on a Sunday.
I have to leave in like
Started
20
the-
seconds.
Start the year on a Sunday, ends on a Sunday. If I remember correctly, if you add an extra weekend day on leap years, you could have the same days every single year. Oh yeah, referring to the fact that days cycle back a day or whatever, or cycle forward a day,
Yeah.
because there's 365, which doesn't divide evenly into 7 or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. We already read that one. Futa IRL. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think that. I think
That's not-
maybe.
that's not right.
Yeah, that's not quite right. That's like
He doesn't have a hoo-ha under there.
yeah, that's like a maybe transvestite without the need for prescription hormone replacement because the tumor Chan is doing it for him. He just needs to get skinny, wear a wig, and date the les girls. This is his gift to womankind. But the question is, if you drink the milk for sustenance on a deserted island, I mean, no. I like to think of Meatloaf in Fight Club
Oh,
when he had the fat suit because he had like, remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna head out.
or,
Bob.
yeah,
Robert Paul.
Bob had bitch tits to quote the
Yep,
movie.
Bob had just-
Seriously though, poor dude. Yeah, he got them pierced. Right, yeah, that was just the milk.
The-
Yeah, milk drops. All right. Please put this in the Guinness World Records. Said the doctor. Oh God, that would be so funny. For like the distance, you mean? Yeah. All right. So the last thing we're going to cover here is a follow-up to the Japanese politicians that proposed.
Okay, I gotta go though. Cause,
Okay, go ahead.
I gotta go
Good
change
night.
that. Light.
Thank you.
Bye.
Say hi to Justin. for me.
Bye.
Wow, it's warm again.
I have a lot of hair on my head.
Okay. Okay,
It's
so
nice and warm.
Taro Yamada was the politician that we were talking about in the last podcast. Although the thing we were reading was from the Idori or whatever, Idiori books or whatever. We were talking about a guy's take on it, not the actual politician. So this is the guy who ran on the grounds of preservation of manga and art and getting rid of censorship, right?
Mhm.
So more Japanese politicians propose along with him, right? So I actually haven't read this yet. If it doesn't seem like it's worth reading, we can stop early, but I'll just try to get through it quick. So they say, editor's note: the image Taro Yamada is holding up is the mascot for the Manga Anime Game Forum, which is the thing we talked about this guy numerous times that he is part of at Meiji University. It is not involved with the story though. The whole image comes from a video of Yamada discussing the bill. So Japanese, quote, otaku politician Yamada Taro, or Taro Yamada as I like to call him, and other Japanese politicians have drafted a bipartisan bill designed to create, quote, the National Center of Art and Media to preserve art and media. This would include manga and anime. Hold up. Is this the guy that wanted to create the Federal Manga Cafe? I think this is. This is the guy that wanted to use Japanese tax dollars to create a Federal Manga Cafe. Maybe I'm mistaking him with somebody else who did the other thing. Well, let's just see what it says. Kai Yo and On Takahashi reports that the bill, which has been dubbed the Manga Bill, will create the means to archive and protect Japanese media, such as art, film, music, and of course, anime and manga. This comes after the Kyoto Animation arson attack and the flooding of Kawasaki City Museum. While Kyoto Animation's older work was not damaged, they stated, quote, if the server had been damaged, then works that have been accumulated for nearly 40 years, those precious materials about the work would be lost forever, or would be forever lost. Yeah, regarding the, hold on. If he ain't a Fuda, then what have I been watching? Trannies, man. You've been watching trannies. Also, regarding regarding sustenance on a desert island, yeah, gonna select a death there. Yeah, yeah.
I think I'd
You
boil
know-
it down. I'd boil it down seawater first.
No, I don't know. It's like, but the question is, if you drink the milk for sustenance on a deserted island. See, there's a third option here we're not considering, which is cannibalism. Just killing the guy, right? Killing him and cooking him over a fire. All right. So this comes after the. I already read that. They also stated their desire for the bill to pass with a representative stating it is, quote, very important to us. Kawasaki City Museum lost over 260,000 pre-war comics and art pieces during Typhoon Hagibis in October 2019. Wow, I'm surprised this is the first we're hearing of that. This happened all the way back in October. Why is none of the article sites that we covering that? Did we miss that? That's weird. This is news to me. Along with Yamada, other politicians from the manga anime. See, the thing is that like the government wants to get into the sector of like preserving all this stuff, but the real question is, how are they going to do it better than the museum or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to store it in mainland China? Like, are they going to put it? They put it all in a submarine. That'd be funny. God. Yeah, I'm actually pretty sure this is the guy who did the I'm pretty sure this is actually the guy who's doing both. But on top of that, I'm pretty sure this is the same guy that we talked about who wanted to do what the detractors called the Federal Manga Cafe that I did one of the first OCA podcast clips on. And poor FDD&M thought that they were going to come to his house to take his cell, his Ranma cell or whatever. Anyway, along with Yamada, other politicians from the Manga Anime Game Parliamentary Federation have helped create and support the bill. The federation is a bipartisan group akin to a committee chaired by Junji Furuya. Yeah, we definitely talked about this guy. Of the Liberal Democratic Party, the same party as the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, which again is actually the Republican Party, if you can believe it, of Japan. Like if you were to compare them, the Liberal Democratic Party is the Republican Party, and the Democratic Party is the Democratic Party, right? Hilariously. Because Democrats aren't liberal anymore. Anyway, while it seems this should have a lot of support, On Takahashi, CEO of adult independent magazine translation publisher Irodori Comics, who broke the story in English, had doubts. So this is the guy that we read from, On Takahashi of Irodori Comics. After the we've read some of this, so I'm going to skip a lot of this, but after the tragedy that was the KyoAni arson attack, you'd expect something like this to pass instantly, right? Own tweeted. But that's where the current problem lies. Politicians have, quote, milked the KyoAni incident enough that they're moving on to other issues. Yamada has claimed that if this bill doesn't pass the vote on December 9th, it is most likely going to be scrapped. So actually, we didn't read this. This is just the same guy that talked about the censorship thing, which is what I thought this was about because it's all the same players involved. Anyway, so speaking with OWN directly, he explained how December 9th is when Japanese Diet, the equivalent of the U.S. Congress, will close until the new year. Any bill that isn't passed this year cannot use this year's budget, OWN explains. Any bills passed next year will be done under next year's budget. But because of the priority of things, the smaller national projects get pushed to the tail end of the year, while big policies that use up big portions of the budget are used earlier in the year. And next year is most likely going to be voting time for the House of Representatives, which means that the current administration will be using big parts of the budget that appease their voter base, mainly farmers and people in rural areas, which further lowers the chance of the manga museum. Yeah, I don't think they need the manga museum personally. OWN also explained with the upcoming Japanese Olympic Games, elections would likely be held in early or late 2020. This means politicians would be busy with re-election efforts and may avoid bipartisanship to avoid looking weak. In his Twitter thread, OWN explains how prior to hard drives being cheaper, many Japanese creators never kept their original files, even larger organizations like game developer Square Enix. Because in reality, Japanese companies and creators don't exactly do a stellar job of keeping their data. You've all heard of stories like Square Enix, quote, losing the source code for Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII. You might be shocked at Square losing the code for one of their most famous games, but episodes like this aren't rare. There are reasons why some manga never make it overseas, because a lot of artists, quote, lost their data. For older works, artists and mangaka never considered foreign publication. That makes sense. So once they've made the work and submitted their data to the Japanese publisher, a lot of them deleted the files to, quote, free up space on their PC. This was before hard drives were cheap. So years later, when foreign publishers approach the artists for their data to localize it, a lot of them say, sorry, I can't seem to find it. Or, oh yeah, I deleted that. Even with Iridori Comics, there have been cases where artists don't have the data. Due to how prone Japan is to natural disasters, typhoons, earthquakes, and tsunamis, Own hopes that the bill does pass. For politicians, preserving something old is a lot less sexier than creating something new, but I hope they come to their senses to see what is really needed in Japan. You can find a video of Yamato discussing the bill in Japanese here. So I'll just say, hold on real quick. Only heard about Daisuke about a month ago. You mean Daisuke.net going out of business? Or do you mean, is that the name of the Kawasaki City Museum? So I will argue that the Japanese government, again, is not going to do as good of a job as a third party thing. But I think a third party company that's not taxpayer funded, that said, artists of Japan, if you don't want to hold on to your stuff, if you're running out of room, if your hard drive's filling up, we will send somebody out to collect your things. We will take care of them. And in exchange, if the time comes for localization in another country and we hold on to your thing and are able to provide it, we'll just take a small cut of the revenue, you know, and we're mostly funded through donation or something like that. That could totally be a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the app, yeah.
Looking at sort of the, don't have the files, like for localized manga, like the action words, and a lot of them aren't translated or are left in the Japanese. Like Viz, I think 90%, 95% of the time, Viz has like all the action words, like in My Hero Academia, they're all translated into English. Like, Smash is not in katakana. It actually says SMASH with an exclamation point, which would be different in Japanese. So they actually go through and, go through the actual file and remove like the action words and put in the English, like do lettering in the same style and do the English action words. Like,
but the thing is,
in press releases, they don't do that very often. They usually have the word translated in English in fine print below.
A little thing. So the thing though is that I'm pretty sure the original manga doesn't have My Hero Academia is probably largely made in a computer. So maybe they have layers, but older manga and stuff where they would like cut the paper and stitch each panel together and stuff. And then those would go to like a photocopier for the large printing and stuff. They're having to go in and redraw that whole panel to erase out, like clean plate out the existing text and replace it with something new. That's a big task that honestly nobody really wants to do. Yeah. It's way easier. It costs so much less to just put the little disclaimer of what that sound effect means.
Yeah. But like, if you look at your Attack on Titan ones, they also do the same. They leave the Japanese act like the even if it's like a rumble or like a gust of wind, all the sound effects are still in Japanese, but they just have the English written, marginally larger than fine print underneath it.
Yeah. All the Japanese onomatopoeia sounds.
Yeah, like the rumbles or the smack or like the wall breaking or that kind of thing. Like any sound effect words kind of thing.
Yeah.
Action words like swoosh or buffo.
Dodon. Some nobody said, we still can't archive everything forever, though. Hard drives only keep about 100 years before they corrupt. Still need a better archive medium for keeping historical data. So there actually are ways to store things a lot longer. They have discs, like a CD, that are made out of stone. and those things have like 1,000-year lifespan.
Ooh.
They're way more expensive, right? Obviously, and stuff. But the thing is that you don't need to. You say hard drives only keep about 100 years before they corrupt. So what you do is every 75 years or less, you back up those old hard drives on the new thing and just keep doing that. You know,
on the latest
or you
generation.
put them into blockchain. If you put them into blockchain, then they exist. Like you'd have to take out every computer pretty much on the planet at the same time in order to destroy that information. Like you could store everything bit data in the blockchain as a way to archive things forever. You know. So anyway, let me see if my wife wants to join us for the Jin-Roh discussion real quick, if we want to do that. Hold on. She's outside. One of my church friends is changing our light bulb because I don't have I have a ladder that needs to be leaned up against something, and our front porch light, there's not a safe way to do it. Put it that way, without a ladder that's able to stand on its own. And up until recently, we didn't have a vehicle that we could actually buy one of those and transport home in. Anyway, so let's.
Did you actually finish it last night, or?
I did finish it. I was extremely exhausted because I watched it after a 14-hour shift. I watched the special edition one, which I think was the same disc, but for the feature. I last podcast talked about the live action films, and I immediately went here instinctively, and then I'm like, no, what's it called? Oh shit, what is it? And I was like, yeah, it was right where I thought it was. Mamoru Oshii Cinema Trilogy, and obviously it's there because it's a compilation, and I keep compilation stuff towards the beginning of the collection. I did not watch any of these. This is supposed to come with Stray Dog, Kerberos Panzer Cops, which the Kerberos is what they were called, right? The Red Spectacles, and Talking Head, which is also released separately. I don't know if these other movies are as well. Weirdly, they list Stray Dog. So in the list here, it says the things here. It says Stray Dog, then the Red Spectacles, then Talking Head, and then immediately underneath that, where they give you a synopsis, they go Talking Head, then Stray Dog, then Red Spectacles. So I don't know. Music composed by Kenji Kawai, which is the same person who did Ghost in the Shell, right? And directed by Mamoru Oshii. So I haven't watched these. I kind of almost wanted to postpone the watch club for this podcast until we came back for after the hiatus, but I also don't want to work for 14 hours a day for 19 days straight and then have literally Monday to compile 2 weeks worth of articles, watch 3 movies, and the Korean live action remake of Jin-Roh called Illing, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. And then have 2 weeks worth of articles in the discussions and a discussion of all this stuff. So so I figure I will watch these on my own time, I guess. I'll try to get to them at some point just because I want to see them at some point. And my wife was actually more interested in Jin-Roh than I was. I don't like this movie.
Yeah.
So this movie, animation wise, has a couple of great scenes, and the rest of it is so fucking boring. And it's exactly the thing that I talked about with the Scorpion and the Frog in Eden's Bowie, where it's like, and then the wolf ate Red Riding Hood, and it's poetic because she's wearing red and we killed her. And it was the guy that they call the wolf. Oh, I'm brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just like, but why though? The whole time. Like why is this story?
Like no point to this movie, really.
So bad.
Yeah.
It just felt like overly poetic for the sake of jerking off, you know, for Oshii. It is not a good movie. Hey, do you want to talk about?
This light bulb came out.
Because it burned out?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm in my jacket.
Oh, full screen is. Do you want to talk about? Did Justin leave?
Yeah, he left.
Oh, cool. Do you want?
Said hi.
Cool. Do you want to talk about? This is the light bulb we just got replaced. It burnt out.
3 of them.
Do you want to talk about Jin-Roh?
Because I'm the only one who watched it.
I watched it. I just I was also compiling articles because literally I had just last night to do it for the most part. See, what I do with articles is I go through all the sites and I scroll through in order until I get to an article that we already talked about, knowing that I've seen them all, the new ones, and I open those fucking tabs, and then I go through as many of those open tabs as I can. And then what I did is I left them all open. And then when I woke up today, which since I don't have a night shift tonight, like we did the last couple podcasts that we did on Tuesday, I was able to get up at 4. I got up at like 4 o'clock or whatever. Actually, I slept in, didn't I, Dale? Like 10 or 6. I mean, and then I drank that coffee. So anyway, and then I just jumped on and I went through all the articles that I had pre-selected because there's 2 time-consuming things. There's getting the million tabs open, and then there's reading the stupid articles. Oh yeah. There's reading the articles to the point. Sorry if it's ice cold compared to your warm head.
I'm sorry. I have a large.
And then I have to read the articles to the point of feeling like whether or not they're worth talking about or whatever, you know. So anyway, that's I was reading articles while we watched Jin-Roh last night, so I didn't get to pay as close attention as Julie did because she was able to just sit and watch it. So what do you want to say about it?
I like the Little Red Riding Hood reference. I know you didn't. I mean, like everything was just like in your face. Like he's a wolf. He's a wolf from the opening.
Let me induce cringe on everybody by quoting the stupid opening line. This thing is like a wolf. This thing is a wolf. Thus, it is a thing to be banished.
Why? I don't understand.
But why though? Isn't that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. It's not good. The thing is, this is, I believe, the final movie where they animated every individual bullet hit frame by frame. Right. So,
Yeah, I think so.
there was a style that was popular, especially in Oshi films, where you'd see the bullet hits and it would be like machine gun fire, and then it's bullet frame 1, right? And then the next frame was bullet. Whereas now it's just like 3 at a time, and they'll shoot at 12 frames per second or whatever. But back then they used to do that, and it had a really neat aesthetic to it. So there's some cool aspects to this, you know, and there's a couple of scenes where you just watch people get torn apart by bullets. But even those scenes aren't cooler than the scene in Akira where the guy just gets obliterated by the gunfire. You know what I'm talking about? Where the guy's just sitting there and he's just he's just getting obliterated by all the guys in the beginning of the
But
movie.
it's the best part of the movie, though.
It is, because it's the only part that's worth watching. Yeah.
The sound effects for like the bigger gun, was that weird to you, or was that just me? Like when you had the big, like the Gatling gun that had that like muted gunfire sound to it versus all the other gunfire.
Well,
I'm having a hard time like drawing up a memory of what it sounded like.
it did sound more muted. Where it's like instead of like ta 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 ta, it's like a muted sound. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, he did
Sounds
have
like a baby going compared to the ta ta ta.
I don't know, because it's clip fed or whatever, belt fed. I think the gun had a
It
what is
wasn't
it, a muzzle brake
Yeah, I don't think it was
or something. I don't think it was silenced, but they have it's like a compression thing for the gas. So I don't know. I have to watch it again. I'm sure there was a sound that was like a stylistic choice or whatever, but it
just felt weird.
It's escaping my memory of it. I just remember the guy shooting grenades at him and it was like bouncing off of him.
Yeah.
Also, the art style for the people was like that hyper realistic style that just looks like shit when you try to animate it. You know,
it felt like a Satoshi. I don't know if Satoshi Kon was in on this one, but it felt like I was watching one of his movies with the way the face is moving around.
But the thing about it though that was really noticeable is that the wolf characters, the Kerberos or whatever they call them, they were like shaded, and all the other shots of the people, like they're on the cover here, she has some shading from the hood over her eye. You can kind of see it.
He has no shading.
Yeah, but flat shaded face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flat shaded, damn it. Flat shaded characters, right? They're just completely flat shaded. I want to see what's in the actual oh, the disc is still in the Blu-ray player right now.
Do you want to get it?
Oh no, you don't have to. I'll just get it afterward. There's so much material for me to read in here about how this movie is not garbage, but I don't believe any of it.
Did yours have an interview on the disc that's like a half an hour long?
I'm sure it did. I didn't watch it though.
I didn't. They have it on the discotheque. I didn't watch it either.
There's extras. There's a soundtrack in here, which soundtrack didn't grip me.
I think the only song at the
Can
very
you go get the disc?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
the
it's fine.
one title track or the one main song like they showed during the opening credits and then at the end credits are like the only memorable song in this whole thing.
But it's also like not memorable enough. Like I've been I know I've been hardcore on my theory. I have this epic theory that the franchise lifespan of something is directly dependent on sound design. And I was talking to somebody about it at work the other day, and I was like coming up with more proof for my theory, right? And I always use Star Wars as my example because I think that it shows, because the thing about Star Wars is that, or the thing about franchises rather, a franchise might be the wrong word. It's that the culture, it stays in the cultural consciousness. Anyway, the reason I asked you to grab that real quick, I'll just show everybody, is that they put the same friggin' image on all three of the discs.
That sucks.
So yeah, that's great job, guys. Anyway, but thank you.
Oh,
The thing about it is that this is what I said to this guy I was talking to yesterday. Into the Spider-Verse is talked about. Oh, it's so amazing. It's so great. People are going to forget about that movie in 5 years. Star Wars has quotes, sound effects. Like I always talk about, if you think about people coming out of Star Wars in the 70s, they're going to their car. First of all, the only other space movie at that time was 2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
Which is a very different,
Star
right?
Trek movies. When did Star Trek start making
Yeah,
movies?
I don't think the Star Trek movies were.
Can I look it up?
Yeah, you're gonna have to look at it. I think those were later. But Star Wars, like people are coming out of the movie theater and they're like pretending they're holding lightsabers with their mouth going, you know, like play fighting with each other. Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope has the line, "You killed my father. No, I am your father." And Darth Vader's voice, Darth Vader's breathing, Chewbacca's way of talking or whatever, right? All these imitatable noises that for whatever reason, it's fun for people in the audience to recreate, or quotes are so important. Lasting franchise of Die Hard.
Right.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. You know, come out to the coast, have a few laughs, right?
So I think the Star Wars movie came out
77.
in 77, and then the movie for Star Trek came out in 79, but
the show was
11 years
Show was in
before.
the 60s.
right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the show is campy as shit, and like really,
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk literally fights a lasagna monster. I'm not kidding. Like, have you seen it?
Is that like the progenitor to the Great Spaghetti Monster?
No, seriously, dude. This thing is like, it literally looks like a slopped on, like, you know, when you try to grab some lasagna and it kind of falls apart and all you get is like the cheesy stuff underneath the top of the noodle thing, right? Just throw that thing down on the ground and have a stop motion animator put like googly eyes on it. That's what he fought. I'm not even kidding, right?
I gotta look that up.
So anyway, but the what I'm getting at is, think about Into the Spider-Verse. There are no quotable lines in it that people are repeating with each other. You know, you repeat other lines. What's up?
Let's Google search lasagna monster don't starve. Lasagna monster don't starve. Don't starve lasagna monster.
I think Don't Starve is the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
I didn't know, so it's hilarious to me.
But what I'm getting at is that this movie, so Ghost in the Shell has that opening theme in the first Ghost in the Shell, right? That was so crazy iconic. Now,
yeah,
Ghost in the Shell also has a lot of This is the thing that Captain Kirk fights. It's an amorphous blob.
Okay.
Right? It's a little bit more burnt than I remember. But I'm not kidding. Look at him. There's Kirk's arm over there.
All right.
That's what he fought. It's a meatball spaghetti monster.
I have a picture of him in it.
So here, okay. So some nobody is saying. Hold on, let me get. Yeah, I heard it was barely anime because of what they were going for and never watched it. I guess you're referring to Jin-Roh, or maybe Into the Spider-Verse. You said, I think you're hitting on something real, but it has more to do with good storytelling. Audio is a huge part of trying to get buy-in when you're getting an audience to engage in a visual story. So what I'm saying is you can't make something on audio alone. But what I'm saying is when you have it, it significantly improves your ability to get people to talk about something. Because when a person has a moment where they can insert that meme of that line from the movie, people like, oh man, I haven't seen that movie in years. Oh, it's so good, right? You start talking about it, and all you did was say one line from what's that movie? Not Shaun of the Dead, the other one, where they're like police officers. Hot Fuzz. Like you say a line from Hot Fuzz or something, which I can't think of any on the top of my head. But yeah, you'd say something from it, and it's like that triggers the memory. It gets people talking about it long after that movie's relevant, and it stays in public consciousness. So what I'm saying is that Jin-Roh has a bunch of mamby-pamby poetic, like made up, like forced poetic Red Riding Hood crap in it that isn't interesting, isn't gripping, doesn't go anywhere, and that's all it has. And then there's like a death scene at the end that is like, well, at least you're giving me something before the credits roll, right? And I go, that's it? Like, there's nothing, right? And then they have a stupid death where it's like, did he shoot her, or was it Pablo in the shed?
They immediately show that it was somebody else.
Yeah, sharp shooting with the Mauser from like a mile away. I'm sure.
No.
Anyway, Oshi would know better than that. Anyway, but what I'm getting at is that, so think about it this way. So there are a couple things where this doesn't quite. So my argument is that that's one of the reasons why Evangelion has continued to be. I don't want to say as popular as it is, but why it's still relevant is because that opening theme, for whatever reason, was such an enormous hit that it's played at karaoke bars more than any other song, right?
Yeah.
People sing it together at conventions. The Pokemon theme is another good one. The American one, that brings back the nostalgia. It's one of those things where audio is so important and people don't recognize how much, like, if that's missing from your series or whatever, then it's a crucial part that could take your series from being good to being an icon for the rest of like the decade. You know what I mean? It's like, I think about it with Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, I'm rehashing a lot of points that I've already made. So much of Game of Thrones is characters that are named things that are fun to say, right? Daenerys Targaryen, Beric Dondarrion, Tyrion Lannister. Like they sound great. They don't sound forced. So you ever watched a medieval thing and the characters are like Bard or like something weird and like uninteresting and forgettable,
Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen, right? Lord Stephen, come down from your horse. So it's like, who gives a shit, right? There's some weight to being able to name characters well, coming up with lines. There's so many lines in the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones and when they're still based on the book that like people repeat all the time.
Winter's coming.
Winter is coming. Perfect one. Also, what's that line Tyrion says? A mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone or something like that, you know, or any king who has to declare he's king is no true king, you know, things like stuff like that gets out that gets out into that consciousness. And I'm just saying, like, to wrap up the point, Jin-Roh doesn't really have anything. They could have had something. Like, one of the things I think about a lot is Outlaw Star has an amazing opening theme, and it has that bit in the commercial. I loved watching that show as a kid and waiting for the commercial break where it does the like, you know, and like the colors change, right? Like, that was brilliant. That was such a brilliant idea.
Read the comments.
One of my favorite quotes is the censor Samuel Jackson line from Snakes on a Plane. I've had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday through Friday plane, right? Right. But seriously, that's one of the things. Is like, it's just like I said earlier when I was talking about the censored version of Spawn, right? Where I like that line better. And I think it actually, for me, like, ties that movie to me differently than if I had seen the uncut version first. Oh yeah, you definitely can, referring to movies and stuff. Old movies were almost 100% audio. Radio serials were a big thing in the 40s and 50s also. Twilight Zone, War of the Worlds, etc. Dialogue also, for sure. Billy Ray Cyrus has to be so pissed off about the Pokemon thing being the thing that made him that's... Did he make that?
Did he really make that?
That's not him. That wasn't him.
That'd be hilarious if it was.
That's not him.
And you know what? He shouldn't be pissed off, because that's probably the greatest thing to be a...
I'll just be here.
Actually, you know, I do think I remember him being like audio engineer or something. I do remember there actually being a factoid about that.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought I watched a YouTube documentary.
Yeah, something about that.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't make any money. Like,
also, I think that Faulkner's score in Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z, I think that made that show in the West. I do not think we would have, I think they got super lucky with the voice cast that they chose. There goes my earbud.
Okay.
With the voice cast that they chose.
There's a Billy Ray Cyrus Pokemon card.
Is it that poorly photoshopped?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Flip a coin. If heads, Billy uses his daughter to be more of a celebrity. Or if his daughter is with him, he disowns her. Okay. So I guess there's supposed to be a Miley Cyrus card to go along with it. Anyway, shit, I totally lost my train of thought. But anyway, that I don't have much to say about Jin-Roh.
I don't either. I mean, I noticed Kenji Kamiyama was what, art director or something.
Was he? Who's Kenji Kamiyama? That name sounds familiar.
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex director.
Oh yeah. So also something I forgot to mention. What did we watch last podcast? Patema Inverted. I mentioned this to you, but I didn't bring it up verbally. I noticed when we were watching the credits that the like sound design was done by Akira Yamaoka, who's the guy who does the Silent Hill, like 1 through 3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think also 4. Maybe he also did 4.
Do I need to look it up?
No, you don't need to look it up. He got replaced by Daniel Licht, who's the composer for Dexter. Yeah, which was, if you're going to do it, that was a good choice to replace him. Although he's irreplaceable, I think. But anyway, so I don't have much to say about Jin-Roh. I think it's extremely overrated. And back in the day, it was always the anime that people pretended to like and pretended was deep. But in reality, when you sit down and watch it, you're like, this is crap. You know.
There's nothing. I mean, okay, so got betrayed by his friend. It was like they want to get rid of this group. It was like, okay, that's it. So what happened? Yeah, like
the story pretended to be deeper than it was. Now, however, it seems as though there's a lot more to the thing that Oshii wanted to tell. But you got to make how long is this thing? Like 2 fucking hours?
Like an hour and 40 minutes.
An hour and 40 minutes. Like, you got to make something an hour and 105 minutes. Yeah, so an hour and 45 minutes. You got to make something that long sit throughable, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like they needed more shootouts for that to happen, which is funny because that's always what happens with Oshii, is that he wants to tell a certain story and the producers always say, can we add a fight scene here? Right.
Yeah.
And editors and producers in Japan have saved a lot of things, but Oshii doesn't always agree.
Like Naruto.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. I covered
Yeah.
that article.
Yeah.
I talked to her about it before that podcast where we talked about what they wanted to name Zabuza and Haku. They're like Momotaro.
I'm glad they didn't have those talking animals either.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, guys, well,
They kind of did.
Some nobody says all the FPS kids pretended it was cooler than it was. I think Valerie is the one I'm thinking of who pretended it was cooler than it was. But that's a reference only Julie will get. Yeah,
Nice.
I didn't think it was a good movie. I remember we like tried to watch it for like anime movie nights a couple times, maybe like once, and it's like we all kind of sat there, but I feel like we were talking over it because it was so
talked over
boring.
it. We ate a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the scene comes up where like he murders everybody, and you're like, well, I'll watch this, but
That's
that was
cool.
it. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, but I think I've said that like 7 times now.
I would have liked it if it was like a tragic love story with a happy ending kind of
Like,
thing.
I don't understand how it became a love story in the first place. Like, oh, he's here, and you're like, oh, they like
you just
like,
watched
there was
him stare
no
into
chemistry.
space.
There's like
Also-
no chemistry. It's like, oh, all of a sudden they're dating, and he's like, there's nothing going on here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the remember we were talking about like sound design and all that. Think of the scene in the beginning of this movie where he's on the train, and that guy, you be the guy, right? He's got the glasses on or whatever, he's reading the thing,
Yeah.
and he's just standing there, like he's like this. He's just
Yeah,
looking
right.
down at that guy, and he's like,
wait. Do I have to be the guy? Because he's like, then he's like, oh,
right?
my glasses.
It's like now think of the animation of this style Cowboy Bebop movie where they play Ask DNA and they're setting all they're doing is setting the scene of the world. That's all they're doing in that scene. They have people dancing and moving around and they're playing that song, right?
It's funny that you mentioned that because the director of this movie directed that opening sequence.
What was going on with the train? I didn't understand. I felt like it was like a whole bunch of shots that I don't know.
Okay, so
I was just bored.
I'll explain in a second. So what were you saying, Reese, just now?
Sorry.
It's funny that you mentioned that because the director for Jin-Roh, Hiroyuki Kimura or whatever his name is, he directed the opening sequence for the Cowboy Bebop movie.
I'm not surprised at all. But imagine, just think about the tonally, how different that is. When you have something that's upbeat, because Oshii just wants to do something depressing all the time.
I gotta.
You know?
Well, how long? Are we
And we're basically wrapping it up.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, go watch Cowboy Bebop again. That's the thing, is that movies and series, especially when they're long, they need to take the audience and, like, it's basically like when they teach you when you're doing a speech and they say, if you add the phrase in conclusion, even if it's 45 minutes before your speech ends, you get the audience to listen to you again.
That's true.
Right? It's like a trick to trick the audience into paying attention again. And I talk about it all the time in Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, that all they do, that whole friggin' show, is techno babble. And then out of nowhere, do you want to give me the...
I'm not leaving.
Okay. And then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, like, you're just zoning out. And then whenever something crucial to the plot comes up, all of a sudden you're already paying attention. I don't know how they do it. I'd like to sit down and watch it again and really study it the next time I watch it, but it's brilliant. It really does a good job of that. And as I said, Cowboy Bebop, that opening with that music, that upbeat stuff, that gets you into the mood to watch it. And you can do that with a depressing movie. You don't need to use an upbeat song, but you got to do something that gets the audience on board with the story. And all they're doing is basically like an art house film of this guy's life is so sad. Nobody will connect with him on the train. And it's like, but that's normal.
Yeah.
Like, life in
You
Japan.
don't get on trying to hook up.
Right. Nobody does that. Like in Japan, you get shunned even today for doing that kind of thing. For just staring at a person who's reading a book and like F off weirdo, you know, like
Look out the window,
leave me alone.
asshole.
Jakan, you know,
You're
run
not
away.
supposed to be loud or anything, and they consider that rude, especially if you're a foreigner. They don't.
All right. So anyway, that's my foot. I got it out just in time.
Sorry,
Right.
the foot is
It's all
still
right.
up. I didn't put it all the way down.
Yeah, I know. I got my foot out before. All right. Anyway, so that's it for this podcast. The next podcast, I didn't prep it. Oh, I see it. It's right here. The next podcast, I decided I wanted to do something that wouldn't take a lot out of me. So we're gonna do. So we're gonna do cat soup. Now, just to clarify, this is the limited edition that came with the blood pack, but I don't keep it in the collection. Because I don't want it to burst and get all over everything. Because it sits right next to.
Have we already watched this?
Yeah, we've watched it.
I was gonna say, looks eerily familiar.
Contains violence. Parental discretion advised.
Okay, it's Hello Kitty on acid is the quote on top. Okay.
I watched it.
So anyway.
After you mentioned this, I got about halfway through it before the podcast started.
Oh, yeah?
I want to finish it.
Yeah.
That's like, this is right up my alley.
From the director of Nadeshko, which I don't think helped sell this movie at all. Yeah, so it's very bizarre. And it's on YouTube, right? That's what you discovered?
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, so it's on YouTube if you guys want to check it out, because it's
33 minutes.
It's not impossible to get on Amazon. I put the links in the description if you guys want to do that, or whatever. You could get it with put a blood pack with anime CDs. So what it is like it would sit on top or in the sleeve here, and it has the cats, like two little images of the cats, and they would move around with like the red gooey blood, right, or whatever. It's not quite a blood pack. It's not like the Ichi the Killer blood pack. But the movie is extremely violent in like a weird surrealistic way.
Yeah, I remember that. It's kind of disturbing.
It's funny, like you'll get through it. It's kind of like I think it's it might be from Yuasa even. It's kind of written.
It reminded me a lot of oh crap, what's the
Kick Heart?
No, not Kick Heart. Oh shit, Mind Game. For some reason, like the way it was animated reminded me a lot of Mind Game.
Well, anyway, we'll talk about it when the time comes. So the next podcast, just so everybody's you'll be able to get through it. I say it's violent, but it's like, it's like less than Tom and Jerry violence, but
I don't 100% remember.
I mean,
there's a character with scissors who like snip, cuts a person into pieces, but it's not like gory. It's just like weird to watch everything happen.
It's like acid, like
it says.
Hello Kitty on acid.
Yeah, let me give you an example.
The character gets caught up in a magic show with a buzzsaw.
Oh yeah, that happened too. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
It's just bizarre.
Yeah, it's bizarre
anyway.
and ridiculous.
It's interesting.
By the way, you need to remind me. I have to find one of the old phone backups of the images so I can show everybody Boner Bunny.
I'll try to find it, but I think we have them in our.
No, I think it's on my computer, on my desktop. I just don't have time to do it. So you need to remind me in December or January.
All right.
So in the chat, will hold me accountable for that too. So my next day off is December 16th. That's a Monday. December 17th is the ideal time to do the podcast. But to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm going to be alive. I don't know if I'm going to survive. Okay. I'm going to be making like over $1,000 a week in overtime alone.
On the Twitter if he dies.
That's getting too real. You went a step too far. So just stay tuned on Twitter and in the Facebook group and Discord and all that. Twitter is probably the place where I'll do the announcement of Facebook or Twitter will probably be, because I'm kind of not on Twitter that much. But yeah, December 17th would be ideal, because the thing is that after peak ends, I got hired on like full time. So I'm actually going to continue working there after peak ends and we're out of the seasonal time. So I'm going to have my 3/12 shift will continue from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be working 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So I'm going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Ideally Tuesday, because I want to have FDGM be able to jump back in. Although I don't know if he has cat soup or whatever. He probably doesn't. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll keep you guys posted. I always have a hard time wrapping up these podcasts. Anyway, thank you guys for coming by. Remember to like the video. And if you want your Katakana Make America Great Again hat, let me know. I'll make that a thing. Also, send me all of your weird live action American porn ahagaos to make
No, please don't.
Anyway. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for spending this time with us. Talk to you later.
Bye.
And broadcast.
Bye.